This is college football on ABC Sports.
At Georgia Tech, George Godsey's gone from an unknown to a golden goose in 1 year.
Again, it is caught! Touchdown, Terry Watkins!
For fans of the Orangemen, Syracuse quarterback situation was cause for a headache last year. But their defense can hand out pain of its own. And it is week 1. Everyone's undefeated, and all can dream of the year's ultimate goal. The Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey, outside the stadium. The fans of Georgia Tech and Syracuse have gathered. The sights, the sounds, and yes, even the smells of college football 2001. As we're set for the first meeting ever between these two schools from the Big East and the ACC. Inside Giant Stadium for the 2001 Kickoff Classic. It's the Orangemen of Syracuse against the number 13 Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech. Hi again, everybody. I'm Brad Nessler, and welcome to East Rutherford, New Jersey. Should be an interesting matchup for us today. You've got a Syracuse program that's gone 14 straight years with winning seasons. A Georgia Tech team that has gone now to 4 straight bowl games. They haven't done that since the 1950s and the legendary Bobby Dodd. My partner is Bob Greasy. Bob, one of the reasons I think, though, that Syracuse has lost 5 games each of the last 2 years, they don't have a Don McPherson, they don't have a Marvin Graves, they don't have a Donovan McNabb at quarterback anymore.
And it's not fair to compare them to those guys. Defensively last year, they led the conference. They were the best team in the conference. Offensively is where they had their problem. This year, they've got 9 fifth-year seniors back on offense. The problem comes at quarterback. They've thrown almost twice as many interceptions as they have as touchdown passes. This is what they need to do. They need to get some consistency out of the quarterback position this year.
Well, Georgia Tech certainly got that last year. This time a year ago, they were wondering who's going to take Joe Hamilton's spot. I think George Godsey did pretty well.
18 starters back for Georgia Tech. They've loaded at every skill position. The only problem is George Godsey had surgery in January. They say he's recovered. The thing about it is George O'Leary is not so convinced. He's worried about that. That's his biggest concern going into the season is the health of his quarterback.
That and maybe the expectations of the Georgia Tech fans as if they haven't been big enough. This is the New York Post today. They've got Georgia Tech as the #1 team in the country. George is probably hoping his team didn't have time to read the paper this morning. Let's head back across the river and back to Times Square Stadium to our guys in the studio. John Saunders, Terry Bowden. Fellas. Back at Giant Stadium for the Kickoff Classic, Syracuse and Georgia Tech. Time for us to join the third man in our team, as always, and a guy that is now in Canton, Ohio. Old number 88, still with that big smile. I don't know if he's still got these kind of moves, but he was inducted into the Hall of Fame just about a month ago. Bob and I and a lot of Swanee's friends were there in Canton, but this is the first time we get to publicly congratulate you, partner. Welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Brad, thank you very much. I guess the Hall of Fame is one way of measuring one's career, but in my hand, Brad and Bob, I have a yardstick. It's a simple measuring tool. But for the purpose of this game this afternoon, the yardstick is going to be wearing number 54 for Syracuse. His name is Dwight Freeney. He is unbelievable at rushing the quarterback. The Georgia Tech offensive line is going to have to measure themselves against his strength and speed. Now, last year, he was tied for number 3 in the nation with 13 sacks. Tied, and he only played 7 games. In that 7th game before his injury, he sacked the most elusive man in college football in the year 2000, Michael Vick, 4.5 times. Today, he wants to measure up to that last game performance. Today, Georgia Tech's line wants to measure up to his level of play. And it should be very interesting, Bob and Brad.
Boy, and we're going to watch that, especially Georgia Tech with a little bit of an experience at the left tackle spot. Justin Sajansky, a true freshman out of Pittsburgh, got it teed up. Georgia Tech won the toss. They'll receive, and that's Kelly Campbell back with Joe Burns. And Campbell, one of the most dangerous receivers and return man in college football. So the 2001 Kickoff Classic on a busy college football weekend that includes 6 games before it's all over, and we're underway. It'll be Kelly Campbell from the 7. Campbell broke a tackle across the 25, and he's out near the 28-yard line. And that's where Georgia Tech will go to work offensively. A 21-yard kick return by Campbell. He'll join his offensive teammates led by the Goose, George Godsey, tremendous numbers a year ago. Over 2,900 yards, only 6 interceptions on a 23 touchdown season. And he was, quite frankly, phenomenal and more than they expected.
Pretty impressive when you consider the fact that he was following Joe Hamilton. But they didn't expect anybody to approach what Hamilton had done the year before.
And that was a tough act to follow. First down, a rambling wreck from its own 28-yard line. Burns a single setback. Joe gets the call, and he got about 2 out to the 30. Georgia Tech offensively, we mentioned the left tackle spot was an all-ACC performer in Chris Young there, so keep your eye on Jason Kemble. Roberts, Blake, Schmidgall's the anchor in there. Riley and Bennett round out the front wall. Here's the receivers and running backs. Mitchell, the fullback at times. You've seen Joe Burns already. Matvey, one of several big tight ends. And Campbell and Watkins are both dangerous at the wide receiver spot. Got a dual setback here and a shotgun, and they'll keep it on the ground. Sidney Ford trying to break free, but the defense of Syracuse won't let them. And that defensive front wall led by Dwight Freeney, who Swanee talked about. He just made that tackle. Josh Thomas, the other end, Ferrara, and Mark Holtzman are the guys inside. Good linebacking core. Clifton Smith led him in tackles. He's a first-team Big East performer with Burton and Dumas. And in the secondary, it's Oliver, Walker, Quentin Harris, the general back there, the captain, and Willie Ford on the other corner. And Georgia Tech finds itself 3rd and 5, and they're trying to find number 54 where he's going to line up, because he's going to pin his ears back and bring some heat on Godsey. George to throw and fires. Got a man open at the 40. It's a first down. The Yellow Jackets get it out to the 40-yard line to Kerry Watkins. On a 3rd and 5, they pick up 7.
Godsey's looking at a varied defense. Chris Rippon, the defensive coordinator, moving it around a little bit. This defense led the Big East last year in fewest touchdown passes allowed. Godsey going up against a good defense, picks up the first down.
That defense allowed only 2 touchdowns through the air in the last 24 quarters. So they don't give up much as far as getting it in the end zone. First down, Georgia Tech. Only about a tough yard, and I mean a really tough yard for Joe Burns. We'll see Joe at both tailback and fullback. You'll see him in the slot. You'll see him out wide as a receiver. He's a pretty versatile running back.
Pretty good in the classroom, too. He's on the dean's list.
George O'Leary pulled him out of spring ball because he was wondering about his academics, and he ended up on the dean's list. Coach told us yesterday he shocked me too.
They'll do that more often. I would say some of these other plays, hey, let me get off the spring practice.
That was George O'Leary. He's in his 7th season as the head man now. Georgia Tech, 2nd down and 9. Godsey from the gun. Wants to throw a screen and does to Burns. They break through that, and Burns gets what he can out to the 44-yard line, a pickup of only about 3. Ferrara, though, got out there to make the stop from his tackle position.
Plenty of offensive linemen out in front of Burns. Nobody picked up any blocks. And that play looked pretty good from the start, but didn't gain much more than 3 or 4 yards. Watch the offensive line. To the point, you always try and cut. That was Freeney they were trying to cut, but nobody else got any blocks out on the flank.
Well, they picked up a 3rd and 5 earlier. Let's see if they can manage a 3rd and 6. 3 wide out group. Godsey in the pocket. Now he's going to scramble out on that knee that had surgery. Took a big hit, but he's got a first down in Syracuse territory at the 46-yard line. So a 9-yard scramble.
And Godsey's feeling much better now because it's live. It's in a game. Take a look at Freeney rushing the passer. Kimball doing a pretty nice job. It's just too many guys dropping back, and when you're a quarterback that's had surgery in January and you haven't been hit low, just getting a few bumps and bruises here in the ball game early give you more confidence on that knee.
He's got a grass stain on his elbow too from that one, but they got a first down at the 47 of the Orangemen. And here they come on the ground. Burns only about a yard, maybe a yard and a half. And George Godsey was pulled over by Coach O'Leary at practice the other day just for the very sake of taking that first hit. He told us about it.
Well, there's about five or 6 minutes into practice. Coach O'Leary was like, wanted me to come over there, and he's a run this way, and I just started running with the ball, and Jeremy Myers came up and just waylaid me, and I was surprised because I didn't know what was going on, and I had to put my mouthpiece in and buckle up a little bit, and then Jeremy and I went at it for about a good 5 minutes or so, but there was no break or anything, running to the left, running to the right, straight ahead. So it's good to get a couple hits before this game. I don't want to get hit once and crumble.
Well, he got hit already, and then he just hit his receiver on a sensational catch by Jonathan Smith. I thought Keenan Walker was maybe going to come down with an interception here.
Top of your screen, Smith does a nice job of avoiding the interception as you see him come back and fight and take the ball away. It's a nice play.
Jonathan Smith, the big catch there, but it's still going to bring up a 3rd down. And now our officials are going to talk things over as we've got a timeout taken by the Orangemen. A 3rd and 2 for Georgia Tech in the first quarter with no score when we come back. Georgia Tech's first-year offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien, and Bobby's having his first game for the 2nd time really in that role.
Yeah, first game was at the Peach Bowl. Ralph Friedgen retired, or not retired, moved on to the Maryland and to the head coach there. O'Brien's only 31 years old. He's replacing Friedgen, who had coached for 31 years. So I think it's a little bit easier when you start a new season and you're doing the play calling instead of just at the end of the year when you got Ralph Friedgen sitting up in the stands kind of watching what's going on.
Ralph's probably watching this game today as the head man of the Terrapins getting his team ready in the ACC. 9th play of the drive. Gotze fires it out, got single coverage. Nice catch out there. The first down at the 25-yard line. It's Kelly Campbell. And Campbell open to pick up 15 yards. Willie Ford ran him out of bounds.
Talking with George O'Leary yesterday, he mentioned that a lot of checkoffs at the line of scrimmage. There was single coverage out there on his top receiver, and I think he just probably checked off, threw the ball out there, and he picked up first down.
At the 25, Gotze play action, fires it out, and he's got his man again. This time down to the 11-yard line, and it's Kelly Campbell the other way. Pick up a 14 more. Kelly Campbell so close to so many receiving records for Georgia Tech. Coming into this one, he needed 27 catches and 93 receiving yards to set all the school records. He's well on his way in that receiving yardage area.
George didn't get a good spiral on this ball. It's a little bit behind him, and he had to wait for a little bit. If that ball would have been thrown a little bit more crisper to the outside, he may have been able to turn it up for the touchdown. 1st
and 10 at the 11. Dual tight ends. Oh, man, did Joe Burns run into a head-on collision from Charles Burton, the linebacker, number 37. And Burton starting because Junior Johnson would have been the starter there. Burton would have played a lot, but Johnson had some academic problems that didn't get cleared up in time, so he is not here for the ball game.
Burton's another one of those guys that was a safety, now kicked up to a linebacker, similar to what some of the other guys have done in the past at Syracuse.
12th play of Georgia Tech's opening drive. Ford takes a couple of Syracuse tacklers with him to the 4-yard line. Sidney Ford, only 5'9", 205-pounder, but a tough 6-yard run there. Tech can get a first down inside the 1-yard line. They've got 3rd down and 3 now with the ball just shaded outside the 4. They've got some mammoth tight ends, and they've got 2 of them in there right now. And again, whistle stop play. And again, Syracuse, I think, going to take a timeout here. That's their second one on this opening drive of 6 minutes for Georgia Tech. Coach Pasqualoni looking on, hoping his team can come up with a defensive goal line stand. We'll find out when we come back. From atop Giant Stadium and inside Georgia Tech, in the midst of a 6-minute drive that's carried them the length of the field, and they can get a first down inside the 1, but they'd have to get it to about the 2-foot line. They told us so much about how much they were going to use their tight ends more this year, Bob. I don't know, 3rd and 3, maybe that's a spot. Dual tight end set. Gotze sets, waits, incomplete. He one-hopped it, intended for Kelly Campbell. And that'll bring out the field goal unit.
Well, strength against strength right off the bat. Georgia Tech's offense against Syracuse defensively. Nice drive for Georgia Tech getting it down, but they didn't get it in, and Syracuse is going to hold them to a field goal attempt.
Luke Manje is Georgia Tech's kicker, and he's a good one. A Groza candidate. There's his numbers from a year ago. This will be a 22-yard field goal attempt. And up and good. So Georgia Tech doesn't get the touchdown they wanted, but they salvaged 3 out of a long drive to open their season. 8:50 remaining in the first quarter, and Georgia Tech now in front by a field goal. Well, we had the Pigskin Classic yesterday. This is the Kickoff Classic, and we got a whole bunch more coming up next Saturday, as ABC's college football's got a triple header kicking off at noon Eastern. West Virginia against Boston College or North Carolina, and the aforementioned Maryland. Oklahoma Air Force, Colorado State, and Colorado, and then the nightcap in a triple header will be at Penn State to watch #2 Miami against Joe Paterno and company. And a lot of the country will see Wisconsin and Oregon, and Wisconsin got out to a winning way yesterday with a victory over Virginia. Check the local listings for the game in your area next Saturday.
About that Oklahoma game last night.
Wow.
Huh? The national champions faltering a little bit. I'm looking forward to seeing Larry Coker at the University of Miami going up to Penn State. See what Joe Paterno's got up there. Should be a real emotional start with Adam Talaferro, the player that was partially paralyzed and now has recovered.
Going to lead his teammates out next week. We can't wait to be there.
Yep, that'd be a good one.
We were there the week after he was hurt last year, and it's going to be uplifting for all of us to see him. Majay to kick. James Munro, a yard deep, hesitates, almost put his hand, or foot rather, across the line. He does take a knee, and Syracuse will work from its own 20-yard line. Let's check in with Swanee.
Well, Brad, the opening game, there are a lot of questions you have to find out. One is about the conditioning, and with the temperatures you see there on the field over 100 degrees, you're going to find out very quickly if your football team is in shape. Syracuse felt like they had a great offseason conditioning program, and you know, Brad, you're from Atlanta. It's been a hot summer down there, and these guys come in good shape. But both teams have set up in the locker room just in case some IVs if their ball players get a little dehydrated in the first half.
A little bit warm down there already. Here's a toss to Munro on the first play offensively for the 'Cuse, and they get a yard as Darrell Smith made the stop for Georgia Tech. So Troy Nunes is the guy at quarterback. We talked with him yesterday. He's a confident kid. Didn't put up great numbers last year, though, and sometimes pressed a little too hard, threw too many interceptions. He wants to improve on that area this year.
He started the first 7 games last year and did well, except that the last couple he threw like 8 interceptions in 2 ball games, and he wants to do better than that, and he's capable of it.
Faces a 2nd and 9 from the shotgun. Georgia Tech thinking about a blitz. They'll back out of it. Nunes throws it in and out of the hands of Mo Jackson, who probably should have had it. Offensively for Syracuse, the Big Eaters up front of Troy. P.J. Alexander's a first-team all-conference performer. Connor, Romeo, Burton, and Deloach round out the front wall. His receivers and backs, Kyle Johnson back for a 6th year. He's their leader of this whole group. Munro we've already seen. Manley the tight end, and Jackson and Campbell are his wide receivers, who he'll no doubt use right now on a 3rd down and 9. David Tyree's come in as an extra wideout as well. A lot of shifting for the Orangemen.
They know where they're supposed to be. They're just trying to fool the defense.
Nunes will roll out of the pocket, throwing the run, and a nice throw and a great catch. David Tyree, who had just checked in, stretches out, and he's got a 1st down on a 3rd and 9. He got 12.
Good throw, nice strong throw. All that movement around before the snap of the ball was designed to confuse the Georgia Tech defense. But as he rolls out, throws it to the outside away from the defensive man, and a nice catch.
Nothing wrong with that toss, and an even better catch, as Bob said.
It's important when you first get on the field to make a 1st down or 2 to stay out there, especially after the other teams had a long drive.
So they're just outside their own 33-yard line. Again from the gun, 3-receiver formation, safety blitz coming, and Munro runs the other way and right past it. Munro at midfield, all the way down to the 38-yard line. So James Munro rips off a 30-yard romp.
It's a good call, partner. You said it. The safety blitzed from the defense's left side, and the play was run the other direction. Nice blocking up front. The safety came from the wrong side as far as the play was concerned, and Munro does a nice job of picking up a nice big gain.
So the Orangemen trying to answer Georgia Tech's opening scoring march and doing a good job so far. They've worked it to the Tech 37. Kyle Johnson, the fullback, is the motion man. Inside give this time to the 35 to Munro, as he got 2, maybe 3. Defensively for Georgia Tech, they're 4 up front The two ends are great, and Gathers and Rogers. Johnson and Watson man the inside post. It's a rangy group of linebackers led by Darrell Smith. Winbush and Brown flank him. And the secondary, Marvius Hester, Chris Young, Jeremy Myers, and Albert Pori in the secondary. Already they've moved Chris Young at times to corner and brought in Corey Collins. So Georgia Tech still shuffling their secondary, trying to find the right combination. 2nd down and 8 for Syracuse. Mungro this time all wrapped up, and that's a nice play defensively by what of those ends I was talking about, Greg Gathers.
Those two defensive ends will give you headaches all day long. I don't think you're going to try and get around them. You're going to try and get inside of them like the previous play that Mungrove ran when the safety blitzed. There you see Gathers just gathering the running back and just pulling him down.
So a loss back to a 3rd and 12, back at the 39-yard line now. Troy Nunes comes up under center now. Will he back out into the gun? Yes. Johnson is fullback in a slot right with 2 wideouts. It looks like he's trying to change the play. He's going to have to hustle. On 3rd and 12, plenty of time, and he throws a strike. Maurice Jackson, crossing pattern, and Jackson all the way down to the 11-yard line. That was a nice throw as well, a pickup of 28. Somebody forgot to tell Troy Nunes he can't throw the ball.
Hey, he's throwing the ball well. Georgia Tech with a 3-man rush, dropping 8, sees very well. Nunes steps up and just throws a strike. Somebody gets a block from the backside and just really set up the whole run there the last 10-15 yards.
2 tight ends now in for Syracuse. 1st and 10 at the 11-yard line, exactly like Georgia Tech had on its opening drive. High backfield this time. It gives to Munro, nothing doing, and it's Gathers again. Probably a loss of a yard. Gathers, number 55, the junior out of La Place, Louisiana. 6'1", 260-pound all-conference performer. And Swanee talked about Dwight Freeney being 3rd in the country in sacks last year. One of the guys he was tied with was Greg Gathers, who also had 13.
We had 9 starters back on that Georgia Tech defense. And 2 of the most dominant ends in the country, probably as a pair. There's a defensive coordinator, Ted Roof. He's an alumnus. He was an all-conference performer at Georgia Tech.
He was an overachieving linebacker, and he likes his linebackers to do likewise. 2nd down. Thinking about a quarterback draw? I think not. Rogers from the backside. The other defensive end, Gathers, is the one that forced him, and his partner on the other end, Rogers, is the one that planted him. And now it's 3rd and long.
Yeah, whatever you do in the pocket, you better do it quickly, because one of those defensive ends is going to come around the corner. I think you're right. I think this was a quarterback draw, and those tackles that were blocking on those ends thought that the quarterback was not going to be deep in the pocket. He was going to be gone by then.
It's 3rd down at 14, backed up to the 15-yard line.
A lot of shifting. A lot of shifting.
Now they bring a trio of receivers out to the near side, including Johnson, the fullback. Nunes looking that way. Fires complete, but it's just going to be inside the 10-yard line, down to about the 9. David Tyree, who made a nice catch earlier on this drive, gets the reception, but that's going to bring out Syracuse field goal unit. And that was a sore spot for them a year ago, their field goal kicking.
Tech just dropping off, playing a deep zone, forcing the throw underneath, and forcing them to kick the field goal.
Mike Schaefer was only 7 of 20 last year, and his career long is 37. This is a 25-yard field goal attempt out of a Jared Jones hole. Jones got it down. The kick is up, and it's wide right. So their problems continue. Snap wasn't perfect, but he hit that one straight, but he hit it 3 feet wide to the right. Syracuse, a good drive and nothing to show for it. Still, Georgia Tech 3, the Orangemen nothing. Coach P, Paul Pasqualoni, in his 11th year as a head coach at Syracuse, getting a little more involved with the offensive side of the ball this year, Grease.
Yeah, he is. There's a look at Troy Nunes. I think he just feels like he wants to get involved and help these quarterbacks along a little bit. Nunes with a nice drive just didn't convert, and then psychologically for that Syracuse offense, it's much better if you can get something on the board. It's too bad they didn't.
Gotze on first down. Flips it out. Kelly Campbell got another kick. Broke a tackle. He's shifty. And he's out of bounds with a first down out across the 35-yard line. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest lasting trucks on the road. Budweiser, who salutes America's designated drivers. Monster.com, who reminds you, job good, life good. And McDonald's, we love to see you smile. George Gotze has had a good opening quarter here. With 3 minutes, 3 seconds left in the quarter. A 1st and 10 for the Ramblin' Wreck after that completion to Campbell. Gotze. Uh-oh, there's Freeney. First sack of the day and the first one of the year for Dwight Freeney, the senior captain. 9 straight games with a sack now, and that dates back to the year before last.
He's lined up. He's standing up this time. He's not on the ground. Didn't have his hand on the ground. He was more of an inside linebacker. And I think he had a little bit confused. Here he is right here. Watches, he's going to come right up the middle.
Dropping Gotze for a loss of 8.
That's a big mismatch when you've got a back trying to block Freeney.
Off play action. George throwing on the run. Would have been a great adjustment by Jonathan Smith if he could have caught that thing. He laid out for it, but the pass was too far in front, and it'll bring up 3rd down and a mile. That time the pressure came on Gotze again, and George had to flush out of there and throw back against his body and didn't get that in the right spot.
Talk about coaches working with quarterbacks. George O'Leary's seeing a little bit more of the offense this year. He said not because he doesn't trust Bill O'Brien, but you know, he had so much trust in Ralph Friedgen that he just wants to make sure that everything's, you know, going along in the right way. I think that's smart.
3rd down at 18. Tech was great on 3rd down last year and in its opening drive. Blitz. Gotze got rid of it and got it out to midfield, and it's Campbell again. He finds a way to get open, doesn't he?
Campbell's his #1 guy, and what a veteran throw that was by Gotze. He had some pressure. Watches, he's going to stand in there. One guy's at his feet, another guy's coming right in his face. He had to throw it over a couple of guys. They're bringing this one back.
What we didn't see was the flag. Probably a holding with all that heat coming on Gotze, who under pressure got it to the right spot, but it's all for naught.
Yeah, except for the highlight film at the end of the season.
That's right. Looks real good then. Doyle Jackson's our referee.
That was holding by the offense. Penalty is 10 yards from the previous spot. Repeat the 3rd down.
George wants to know who it's on. That might have been it right there, huh?
Yeah, well, that looks like a takedown there.
Jason Campbell, that guy that's trying to man that left tackle spot. He's a 5th-year senior, but as we said, Chris Young was the guy that started there for the last 2 years as an all-conference performer. It's 3rd down at 28. There aren't many in the playbook for this. Oh, what a hit. And it's Freeney, his 2nd sack of the drive, and Gotze's going to feel that one until Thursday. Ouch.
Freeney is the player that Lynn Swan talked about at the beginning of the ballgame. Number 54, just running around. Matvey, the tight end, he just creams him. And that was the concern of O'Leary going into the game, was the health of his quarterback. I'd say if he's not all right, you know, he's all right now.
I guess so.
Unless he got hurt by a couple of those blows in there. But coming into the game, I'd say that knee was healthy.
Dan Dyke to punt from his own end zone. Mishandles it, but he got rid of it. And a pretty good kick. Malik Campbell waits at midfield. Waiting for a block. Giving some ground. Trying to turn the corner, but Georgia Tech will run him out of bounds. But Syracuse is going to have great field position after forcing Georgia Tech to punt from their own end zone. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary so far. Georgia Tech had a good opening drive, got 3 points out of it. Syracuse had a great drive as well and ended up with nothing, but now they've got an opportunity to straighten that out as they'll work from their own 48-yard line. Again, Syracuse will shift 2 wideouts. And Chris Davis in there at the fullback spot. Noon's quick throw on the slant, complete. Nice and safe. Johnny Morant made the catch. Pickup of 6. There's our Pacific Life game summary. Godsey, a good start, but got nailed twice by Freeney on that last drive. Not much on the ground for Georgia Tech. Mungro 5 rushes, already 29 yards on an 11-play drive that came up empty for him. But again, they're right back in Georgia Tech territory now at the 47-yard line.
This reminds me of the Dallas Cowboys with all of their shifting back in the old days.
Our 1st and 10 presented by Chevy Trucks. And Mungro off the left side. Only about a yard needed for that 1st and 10. Still going to be a 3rd down and 4. Darrell Smith, the middle linebacker, made the stop for Georgia Tech. And he's a good one.
He led this team in tackles last year, all-conference player. They've got a lot of talent back, a lot of key players, the leading tacklers back, the leading sackers back, the leading interceptors back. They've got all the ingredients. Some say that this may be the best team that they've had since their championship team of 1990.
And I think this squad maybe even has the capability of at least being more talented. I think they're faster, definitely, than that team of 11 years ago. That's Graham Manley, one of the co-captains, the starting tight end, who's down and now on his way up, and apparently is okay. See if he got mixed up, tangled in the, just got rolled up on from behind. But he's walking off under his own power with a little bit of a limp.
You see that happen a lot to offensive linemen. Manley's the tight end, and I think he's in this offense. He's half offensive lineman.
That's for sure. So it's a 3rd down and 4. Final play of the 1st quarter. If they get it off, they won't. So we played 15 in the Kickoff Classic. Both teams have had impressive drives. Syracuse defensively dominated the last time Georgia Tech had the ball. And now the Orangemen in Georgia Tech territory at the end of the 1st quarter. The Yellow Jackets on a Luke Monge field goal lead 3-0 over the Orangemen of Syracuse. Trying to stay cool on the sideline. Dwight Freeney was red hot defensively in the last series as he had 2 sacks that forced Georgia Tech to kick from its own end zone. And now a 3rd down situation coming up for his teammates on offense.
You got different situations on the sidelines with fans, and one side's got the big white ones and the other one's got the lower green ones. I don't know if they know something and the other ones don't. I don't know.
So we go the other way on a 3rd and 4. Nunes has been pretty effective at quarterback. He's hit some nice throws so far through the first 15 minutes. Tech thinking about a blitz. They're going to bring one from the corner. Penalty markers down, quarterback down, and Ether Brown is the guy that blitzed.
Yeah, Syracuse, one of the receivers moved, so the penalty would be against the Orangemen.
Chris Davis, a guy that came out of his stance, I think. Oh, we got a double penalty. Motion and holding. And you still got your quarterback dropped.
Yeah.
Not good.
That's a triple header right there.
It sure is. Paul Pasqualoni, who maybe like his quarterback, who's had to follow some awfully big footsteps. And when you go back in Syracuse history through Ben Schwartzwalder and
Both
Coach
fouls,
McPherson,
the illegal motion and
there's
the
some pretty
holding
big shoes
have
to
been
fill.
declined. It's 4th down.
So Georgia Tech declines those penalties and forces a punting situation for Syracuse. Mike Schaefer will punt. And back deep for Georgia Tech is Kelly Rhino. Familiar name to Georgia Tech fans. His daddy was a good one. 3-time All-American. His grandpa wasn't bad either. Schaefer to kick. Not the greatest of punts. Everybody trying to get out of the way of that one. It'll roll dead right around the 20-yard line. A 32-yard punt. Georgia Tech will take over just outside its own 20.
Not a good series offensively for Syracuse. They got the ball almost near midfield. Didn't do anything with it.
Syracuse has been in the Kickoff Classic before. The last time they were in it, I remember we were here in 1997, the opening kickoff. Kevin Johnson took it 89 yards for a touchdown, and they went on to wax Wisconsin 34-0. Georgia Tech's been in this game before too. Here's Tech on the ground, and they can't get anything going with a running game. Sidney Ford pulled down by Willie Ford. Reminder, ABC Sports bringing you the Little League World Series presented by Honda. And Florida and Japan are going to get together for the World Championship game, 6:30 Eastern. The game coming up with Brent Musburger, Harold Reynolds, or Hershiser.
I've enjoyed watching that. You know, I played when I was a kid, and I coached my kids when they were kids. I really enjoyed it.
Boy, they've had some great performances, both by pitchers, and then the bats came alive yesterday. Godsey play action, got his man at midfield. Kelly Campbell, one man to beat. Down the sideline is Campbell, all the way to the 9-yard line. It's 1st and goal, the Ramblin' Wreck. And that right there, I think, just became the all-time leader for Georgia Tech in receiving yards for a career, because he didn't need many, and he just ripped off 72 right there.
Campbell, all conference in the ACC, 10 touchdown passes each of the last 2 years. The ball is underthrown. He's got to go back to catch it. And then the foot race, and he gets caught by Harris. Big play for Georgia Tech.
116 yards already on 4 catches for Kelly Campbell. So you can etch his name in the record book one more time for Georgia Tech. All-time yardage leader, all-time touchdown catcher. And now he's just got to worry about making a few more grabs along the way, and he'll take over for Harvey Middleton in the number of receptions in his career.
And you know he's just on the sideline kicking himself because he didn't get in the end zone on that long play.
2nd down and goal. Both wideouts down to the bottom of your screen. And Watkins and Smith. Godsey, inside handoff, draw play. A little bit of room that time. Down to about the 4 for Sidney Ford. Clifton Smith made the stop, and it'll be 3rd down and goal.
Harris, number 4, the free safety. Nice draw look. You saw Harris just look away. He read the Godsey, and he thought it was going to be a pass. This Georgia Tech offense has a lot of formations, a lot of movements, doing a lot of nice things.
4 wideout grouping on 3rd down and goal at the 4. And another whistle. Syracuse take its final time out of the half. I believe so.
And the reason they're having to do that is because of the substitutions. Georgia Tech is getting their guys in there. Syracuse is not matching up with them.
Back in the Meadowlands, Georgia Tech leading by a field goal and threatening right here. 12:34 to go in the half. Kelly Campbell trotting out there, has had a huge game already, and he's moved his name to the top of the list in Georgia Tech receiving annals. And he's wide to the left, but they'll keep it on the ground. Trying to break a tackle is Joe Burns. He couldn't. Charles Burton wouldn't let him. Nice hit by the linebacker again, a senior out of Sugar Land, Texas.
Yeah, and what the passing game is what has been working for Georgia Tech. It's gotten them down there. The running game, only 9 rushes, 17 yards in those 9 rushes, and that was before that last running play. So looks like they're going to go for it.
On 4th and goal at the Syracuse 2. They were 53% effective on their 4th downs last year. Burns trying to break a tackle. Did he get there? Not quite. LaTroy Oliver, the cornerback, made the hit.
That was a big hit by Oliver.
That was an orange crush.
I like that.
So now the bad news is Syracuse offense is going to be working inside its own 1. Here's another look.
Oliver on the right side, number 3, is only 5'8". Comes up and makes a play, then gets some help from his friends, and they hang on and keep the Yellow Jackets out of the end zone.
Boy, what a nice goal line stand.
Looked like Godsey was pushing, aiding the runner maybe. Doesn't matter, they didn't get in.
Full house backfield now. 2 fullbacks. And Newman's just trying to get some breathing room, but there's flags all over the field.
Yeah, this drive by Georgia Tech is not over yet. because it's on the 1 foot line,
true.
and Syracuse got to get it out of there.
And it's illegal procedure. Now it's back to about the 9-inch line.
Yeah.
And the problem you run if you say, you know what, let's drop back and try to get this thing out of there, is you got Greg Gathers and Nick Rogers, those two defensive ends that are trying to make a sandwich out of your quarterback.
What
in
you
the
do,
end zone.
you put one guy out way out wide and get single coverage and throw it deep to him, and you double everybody else, all those defensive ends.
Again, same play. Noon's got maybe 1.5 yards. And it'll bring up 2nd down and long. That's a tough way to earn a scholarship there, Troy.
This
Trying
is
to
not,
scramble out of your own end zone.
you know, this is not a comfortable place for an offensive team to be, or a quarterback to throw out of, but there are certain throws that are good chances out here, and that is wide receivers spread out wide, straight down the field is a good throw. No wide receivers here, Albert.
They stay with the 2 tight end, 3 running back set. This time, the fullback, Kyle Johnson, got back to the line of scrimmage. There's another penalty on the play. Jonathan Cox made the first hit for Georgia Tech. Let's see what this flag's about. It's motion, so the yard they gained on the quarterback keeper goes right back the other way.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech's got the opportunity, though, to decline this, don't they? And bring up about a 3rd and 8.
Sure. I mean, this is a veteran offensive line for Syracuse, and still in a veteran offensive unit. And still they got illegal motion.
The offense that is declined. 3rd down.
So it is 3rd down and 7. Our Aflac trivia question. Which 5 schools have won all 4 original major bowl games? The Rose, Sugar, Orange, and Cotton.
Good
Think
question.
about it.
I like that. Good question.
Yeah, that's a good one. We'll give you the answer a little bit later on. Right now, Syracuse looking for an answer. They work on a 3rd and 7 near their own goal line. Dunes going to try to roll and throw. Does, and he overshot. It's intercepted by the Yellow Jackets. Picked off, and they've got it. As Bob said, the drive's not over.
Yep.
Marvius Hester's inside the 5 with it.
That defense did a nice job. Ted Roof, the defensive coordinator, kept them aggressive. And when Syracuse tried to roll out, which I like the play, get him outside the pocket one-on-one, he just didn't hit his receiver. Georgia Tech continues the drive that was stopped on the 1 yard line. It's outside the pocket. I like this.
You don't like that?
No, I don't like that. I don't like that. This is the thing, the inconsistent play at quarterback that has held Syracuse back the last part of last year and then starting this year.
The Wreck has it 1st and goal at the 7. Gotze, plenty of time, and he one-hopped it for his intended receiver, Kelly Campbell. Not a good throw by Goose, and he knows it.
Now, we mentioned that Syracuse does not give up many passing touchdowns.
And they still haven't in this one. A 3-0 score, Georgia Tech, with 10:43 left in the half. The lone wide receiver is Kelly Campbell. Extra tight ends. They'll try to run it again. Putting his head down and bouncing into that big pile of blue and orange is Sidney Ford. But Georgia Tech just can't get anything going on the ground.
See, you bring in 2 tight ends and 1 back. There's a lot of substitutions, but you bring in 2 tight ends and show them a running formation out of I, and you run. It's 2nd down. 2nd down, you can either run or pass. If you're going to show a running formation, play action and throw the ball. Or if you show a passing formation on 2nd down, maybe you should try and run it.
If this isn't a quarterback draw, we're going to see a pass here. 3 wideouts. Gotze on the roll. Looking to the end zone. Pumps once, fires, flags down, ball incomplete. And let's see what the penalty marker's about. Might it be holding on Syracuse in the end zone? Flag thrown down in the end zone, so we'll wait and see. That's a call.
And that's a big call. That'll
Sure
give him
is.
a 1st down. 1st down inside the 5 yard line. Everybody's covered.
Looked like it might have been LaTroy Oliver with a bump down there. Let's check in with Swanee on the field.
Well, Brad, I just want to make a comment. O'Brien's a new offensive coordinator, and Bob just did something I think he's going to have to get used to. People are going to always second guess the calls he makes, and he's going to have to get some tough skin to get through this season. Don't you think, Bob?
Well, I think so, but I think he can do the job. There's no question about that. But I just say that, you know, early in the season, show a running formation and throw it.
First and goal outside the Syracuse 2. Might have gotten a yard with Joe Burns. That interior of Syracuse, they were kind of worried about their tackles, Holtzman and Farrar. They've done a great job.
We mentioned in the opening that this Syracuse defense led the Big East in defense, total defense, and they haven't given up. They were the fewest. They allowed the fewest touchdown passes. This is not a weak crew on defense, so scoring touchdowns against this crew not going to be easy.
They're bringing in some more beef too on that front defensive line. Second and goal, Georgia Tech. They'll try it again. Burns again. Same result. This time Wells, the linebacker, Rodney Wells, one of the guys there. It's going to be third down and goal.
I think what you do is you put Kelly Campbell out on one of these guys and just throw one-on-one, either a fade or a quick out or a slant. Go with your best guy against one of their guys.
Syracuse fans coming to life for their defense to see if they can do it again. Third down and goal. 3 tight ends for Tech. Burns, they're just going to keep working it, and he's got it this time. No signal yet, but he looks to be in the end zone, and we still don't get a call.
That's fourth down.
I guess he didn't get there.
And you know, that comes right from George O'Leary. I'm sure that he likes that. He's a tough guy. He's a defensive guy. He likes that tough brand of football. If we can't run it in on 4 downs from inside the 5,
then the heck with
by
it.
golly, we shouldn't have it.
8:31 left in the half, and they've got another fourth down coming up after this one. I thought right there he was going to get there.
Did too. That looked like
he still. Oh, the ball came loose at the end, but watch it from a different angle.
Now the guys that make these calls are the 2 guys on the end of the lines, and they can't see. Right here, the line.
I still think he's in the
end zone. Line judge right there, and the other on the other side, they both make the call. The umpire here, he does not make it. He cannot make that call. Can't clear the telestrator. But it's got to be called by one of the 2 guys on the side.
Looked like his left shoulder was over, then the ball came loose, which was after the fact.
Right.
So Georgia Tech leading by a field goal of 22 yards that capped their opening drive, that carried them all the way down the field. 68-yard march in over 6 minutes on their opening drive. And then Syracuse did likewise, but they missed their field goal. And that's where we stand right now. 3-0 Georgia Tech leading the Orangemen and facing a fourth down situation. And they've been here before just a few moments ago. Georgia Tech's running backs have only 22 yards on 15 carries.
How many plays has Georgia Tech had inside the 10-yard line?
They've had a bunch
for Syracuse and not scored.
They're at the 1-foot line. Burns ahead, touchdown. That time they ran to the left instead of the right, and Joe Burns took it in.
You just know that George on the sideline was saying, hey, if we can't run it in, we don't deserve to have those points. Onto the left side behind Blake and Kemble.
No problem with that one.
Good tough defense. Good tough defense.
George says that's more like it.
Yeah.
Luke Monjay's hit 91 straight extra points. He just missed one. Penalty markers down.
Uh-oh. He may get another shot.
Maybe he will.
Wonder if they had too many guys on the field. I think Syracuse had too many guys.
That's exactly what it was. Luke Monjay's streak is still alive. He's got another chance. He's only 3 extra points away from the ACC record for consecutive point afters. He missed this one, but you can erase it from the record books because he gets another crack at it.
We get those balls back.
He's looking for flags right now. That's what he's doing. He's looking for flags.
He's never missed one until just now. But again, it doesn't matter anymore as he'll have another opportunity. Brian Camp, number 10, to hold. That drive for Georgia Tech, by the way, was only 6 yards in 6 plays. Remember, that followed the Marvius Hester interception. So let's see if Luke Monjay can make it 92 straight. Yep, that wasn't pretty either, but he got it through.
Yeah.
So Georgia Tech takes advantage of the interception. They turn the turnover into points courtesy of that guy, Joe Burns, from a yard. And it's a rambling wreck in the Kickoff Classic, leading Syracuse 10-0. Georgia Tech leading Syracuse now 10-0. Short touchdown march with 8:27 to go in the half. Earlier we asked you the Aflac trivia question. Which 5 schools have won all 4 original major bowl games? Rose, Sugar, Orange, and Cotton. We gave you time to think about it. Here they are. Alabama, Notre Dame, Georgia, Penn State, and Georgia Tech. That's some pretty good company.
Wait, what's Alabama and Georgia and Penn State, Georgia Tech doing playing in the Rose Bowl?
Well, that was pre-46 or whenever.
Okay.
And of course, the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, will cap it off our BCS at the end of this season with a national championship. Mungro from the 9 on the kick return. And out to about the 24. Let's head across to Times Square Stadium. John and Terry standing by, guys.
Brad, here on the Coors Light update, I know you'll be watching the Little League World Series. Here's what happened last night in the International Final. Brent Musburger.
Suzuki's ready in, deep to right field. Hello, Florida. Tokyo, Japan.
So today at 6:30 Eastern Time, the Little League World Series championship game between Japan and Apopka, Florida. Brad.
Back to a first down here at the Meadowlands. Noon's play action. Now he's going to roll. He'll keep it. And Troy does a nice job. Got it out across the 30 to the 32-yard line. Darrell Smith, the linebacker, tracked him down there.
This is an interesting play. Fake right here. Now he's actually going to pick up one of the wide receivers right there to your right. There was 3 wide receivers out there, and one of them kind of hung around and waited for him. And he ran all that distance, and he had an option pitch to one of the wide receivers.
Still had a trailer over there, but he kept it for 8. Here's the toss sweep. The Diamond Ferry, and he's going to have a first down. Ferry, a sophomore out of Everett, Massachusetts. In there for Mungro to give him a little bit of a breather.
Coming into the ball game, Paul Pasqualoni and George DeLeon, the offensive coordinator, were working with 3 different quarterbacks. Nunes, R.J. Anderson, and even the true freshman Cecil Howard. So they didn't know, they didn't tell us who was going to start. Nunes finally got the start, but we may see 1 or 2 other quarterbacks here for Syracuse this afternoon.
Nunes throws it out quickly, wide out screen. Mo Jackson only got about a yard. They tried to set up some blockers out there in front of him, just zipped it out, but Marvius Hester and Ricardo Winbush were out to meet him.
Syracuse normally gets their yardage. And there's a look at the backup quarterback, Anderson. He started the last 4 games of last year. But they get their yardage for the most part on the ground. They get a little bit through the air.
Second down and 9. Nunes hollering out to his 2 wide receivers to the right side from the 37-yard line. Option. Nunes fakes a pitch, and oh boy, he should have pitched it. Ouch. Chris Young, Georgia Tech safety, made a hit, and Nunes is still down. He took one right under the chin.
He did, and he didn't see him coming either. He sees that right there, and he turns up.
We're going to see the next quarterback, I can tell you that right now, and our attention turns to Troy Nunes now.
Hello.
That is getting ear-holed, and Chris Young is he's the toughest guy in the Georgia Tech secondary, a 210-pounder. And so now the concern for Syracuse fans.
Yeah, Nunes is not built for the option. He's 6'2" and 185. This young man right here, R.J. Anderson, is more an option style, 6'3", and we don't know his real weight.
Yeah, they say anything from 230 to 242.
242 was on the one we were initially given, and R.J. says, "We know my weight. I gain weight, and I can lose weight easily."
That's right. And Troy Nunes over there. Troy was telling us, you know, they didn't when I came to Syracuse, they told me I'd be a backup quarterback pretty much because I weighed 156 pounds as a freshman. He's bulked up, if you will, to about 190.
Yeah.
But I don't care how much you weigh with a hit like this.
Yeah.
Bang.
I was talking to Troy yesterday, and he said some of his family was coming down to the game, but his sister was not going to be able to. Amber, he was going to be with a sick aunt, so he wanted me to say hello to his sister and his aunt.
I'm sure they're both worried about him right now, as we are, because he's been stretched out there since that hit by Chris Young for several minutes. Hard for us to speculate whether it's just getting knocked silly or if it's a collarbone type situation. There you see him just sort of exhale, going, wow, what hit me? So it looks like he's going to be okay.
I don't think it's any. I know it's not his legs, and I don't think it's a shoulder or anything. It looks like he just maybe have got his bell rung. And that would be a good picture to get your bell rung with, because he got hit.
You got that right.
It's Tim Neal, the head trainer, with the sunglasses on.
Chris Young coming up with a hit. He had played cornerback last year for Georgia Tech, has seen some action in that spot today, but he said safety's like going home, and he might have just sent Troy Nunes home for the day.
And a textbook tackle. Got his shoulders up, wasn't helmet to helmet.
That's good to see. Troy's up. He's walking off on his own. Not walking off real fast, but he's walking off on his own. So we do have the next quarterback, and it's R.J. Anderson. And he faces a 3rd down and 6 to come into the ball game. There's his numbers from a year ago.
And he has gotten a lot of reps in camp because they didn't know which one was going to get the start here today.
The shift will bring Johnson, the fullback, out, and a trio of receivers to the left side. And it'll be Anderson from the shotgun. Here comes the all-out blitz by Georgia Tech. Anderson, will he get a chance? Nope. Going down. Gary Johnson's got him all wrapped up, the defensive tackle. So they brought the heat on the first play, and Ted Roof says that's exactly what we needed, fellas.
When the new quarterback comes in, you've got 7 guys coming. You've got the defensive ends containing on the outside. And there's a wolf in the hen house.
And there's a punter out there for Syracuse. Schaefer to kick. Kelly Rano waiting back deep. This is a good punt. Kelly Rano backpedals to his 18. Rano got by the first man, and the second, and the third. Kelly Rano, flags are down as he got it back to the 35-yard line. Nifty little return, but again a penalty marker on the play. 17-yard punt return, unless the penalty will take it back. Georgia Tech would have pretty good field position. Illegal block on the return. So instead of being way out there on the 40-yard line, it's going to be back inside the 30.
Foul was an illegal block in the back by the returning team. Penalty is 10 yards from the end of the run. First down.
So it's right at the 25 with 5:34 left first half. Georgia Tech leads by 10. Georgia Tech in the Kickoff Classic leading 10-0 as we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. In this one, Troy Nunes threw that interception to Marvius Hester. That got Tech to the 6-yard line, and 6 plays later they finally got it in the end zone. And then the starting quarterback for Syracuse just got leveled a few moments ago. The next play, Georgia Tech forced a punt. And the question is, Swanee, is Troy Nunes all right?
Well, the head athletic trainer Tim Neal said that Troy just got the wind knocked out of him, and that was a pretty tough hit. But he said they'll check him out a little bit more closely at halftime just to make sure.
That's a whole bunch of wind the way that thing happened. At the 25, Georgia Tech's got 5.5 minutes to work. They'll try the ground, and they have really struggled. A gain of 2. Clifton Smith made the stop on Joe Burns. 2nd down and 8. Georgia Tech has its timeouts, 2 of them remaining. And they'll go with the no huddle.
I'll tell you what, just Georgia Tech offensively, and now with the offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien, they've got everything. They've got the no huddle, the hurry up huddle. They've got all the formations. They've got all the movements. They've got the West Coast passing, and they've got short, deep, everything you want. And a guy that can do it.
Godsey back and flips it out to Campbell. Another catch, another first down out to the 38-yard line. Kelly Campbell's 5th catch. This one picks up 11, and he's got 125 yards in the first half receiving. Again, they'll go without huddling. Not necessarily in a hurry, but
that's steal in there.
That is.
Guy playing 10 yards off of him, you go down 8 yards and stop in front of him. That's easy.
First down at the 38. 4:38 left in the half. Here comes a blitz, and Georgia Tech trying to run by it, but a nice job of staying home defensively by Keon Walker from the secondary, and he brings Burns down after a pickup of 2. Just outside the 40 now. That's where Georgia Tech will set up shop. And what's Bill O'Brien going to pull out of his hat here?
He was on the other end of the line talking to Ralph Friedgen for 7 years. He was the guy in the booth that was telling them the coverages and all that other stuff. So.
Tends to make you think alike. Godsey. A deep out. In and out of the hands of Jonathan Smith. Would have been an awfully tough catch, but it's incomplete, and it'll bring up 3rd down. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Jeep, makers of Grand Cherokee, Wrangler, and the all-new Jeep Liberty. Aflac, without it, no insurance is complete. Advil, nothing you can buy has proven to work better than Advil. And new Nivea for Men aftershave balm. More evolved skincare. It's a 3rd down and 7. Tech's done pretty well on the 3rd down conversions today, but that guy can make 3rd down and long kind of tough on you. Freeney's got 2 sacks already.
He's right over the center.
Godsey drops, buys himself some time, and got it complete. That's a 1st down at midfield.
Nice play.
It's Jonathan Smith.
Nice play by Godsey to keep it alive, pick up the 1st down, and get a new set of downs. Smith bump and run, gets a jam.
Working against Jeremiah Mason, and he went down to the turf and scooped it up. Good catch. A rambling wreck at midfield with 3:40 left in the 2nd quarter, leading by 10. Godsey sends his tight end in motion. And a stretch play to Burns. Joe Burns, left side. Again, only about a yard.
Syracuse was stretching just as well as Georgia Tech was that time.
13 carries for only 16 yards for Joe Burns.
Well, Georgia Tech has not run the ball well at all day, especially inside the 5-yard line. It took them 5 or 6, 7 plays to get it in the end zone.
Last year they were 3rd in the Atlantic Coast Conference in rushing, about 164 yards a game, but today it has been tough going in there. 2nd down and 9. Godsey from the gun. Here comes Freeney. He got rid of it, but he overshot his receiver. And the guy he overshot took a pretty good pop too.
Screen pass. Freeney, number 54. This is the 2nd time he's pressured him on a screen. The tackle on that side, Kimball can't get him on the ground. Freeney does a nice job of keeping his feet. He's got that number 54. That means he wasn't a defensive lineman to start with.
That's right.
He's only 6'1" and 250, but not many offensive tackles can block him.
Georgia Tech 3rd down and 8. Levon Thomas has joined the wideout group that has 4 out there, 3 to this side. Here comes a blitz. Godsey waits, finally fires, nobody home. Kelly Campbell, the closest man. And it's incomplete. It'll bring up 4th down as we head to Times Square Stadium. John and Terry.
All right, guys, coming up on the Valvoline Halftime Show, we'll look at what is a huge problem in college football, the lack of black head coaches.
25 openings last year in Division I. Only 1 black head coach, Fitz Hills at San Jose State, was hired.
We'll look into that in depth coming up on the Valvoline Halftime Show. Right now, back to the Meadowlands, Brad.
All right, guys, we'll see you in about 2.5 minutes. Chris Morehouse to punt. Malik Campbell back in punt return formation. So Syracuse defense did its job again. Morehouse knocked this one a mile high. And Georgia Tech trying to cover it, couldn't quite make the play, as Kerry Watkins on the special teams almost caught that thing in midair.
Watkins did a nice job of bypassing the punt returner, who was just faking it, and going to the end zone to see if he could keep the ball out.
So this will be the first series where R.J. Anderson will have a chance to go to work at the quarterback spot. Look at that, almost a nice catch. I take it back. Troy Nunes is coming back to the huddle. That's a tough cookie.
Yes, sir.
After the shot he took the last time he was out there, he'll bring him back up to the 20-yard line. So Syracuse trailing by 10. 2:25 to work, but remember they used all their timeouts defensively in this half already. Nunes, here comes the heat again, got rid of it. Nice pass down the middle, got it complete to his tight end Joe Donnelly, and he picked up about 9.
I think the feeling is that Troy Nunes is a better thrower, a better passer than is Anderson, the backup. It certainly was last year, as far as completing a higher percentage of his passes.
And Bob, I also think he's a better decision maker in this critical situation. We want the guy who can pull the trigger on the right play to the right spot.
That's a great point, Swanee. Pump fake again. Now he takes off, and he's going to pay the price again. Dropped. About a 3-yard loss. Gathers and Darrell Smith are there to get him. Pretty good coverage by Tech. I think the first one was a pump fake. The second one was a uh-oh, I better not throw it.
Yeah, and there are certain times when quarterbacks have to decide on when to give up on a play. You work on these plays all week, and you have high hopes for it when you get into a game, but it's your decision and your decision only as a quarterback when to eject and say this play's not going to work, I'm throwing it away or scrambling.
Here's where you don't want to make a mistake either, as Georgia Tech with a 3rd and 3 defensively. They've got 1 turnover already today. Syracuse doesn't want to give them another one. A minute left in the half.
Checking off.
Quick slant, tipped, almost intercepted. Chris Young was there with Johnny Morant, and that ricochet almost ended up in a Yellow Jacket's hands.
Yeah, Morant is a guy that they have high hopes for, and they'd like to get the ball to. He checked off to a slant to Morant. See, that's a bad route.
Hit him right in the knee.
Yeah, he ran a bad route. Swanee could see that. He'd be yelling and screaming. But he's a young kid. He's a true freshman last year. He didn't play much, didn't catch any balls.
Schaefer to punt again. Kelly Rhino had a nice 17-yard return negated by an illegal block last time. Is back for Georgia Tech. Another good kick. Rhino looks up in the sun, takes off from the 32. Kelly Rhino, nice return back to the 46, almost the 47-yard line. So Georgia Tech with 42 seconds to work. They might have an opportunity to get Luke Monge an opportunity for a field goal. Monday night, ABC Sports will be in Mexico City. It's the Cowboys and the Raiders in the American Bowl on Monday Night Football, live at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. From the 47-yard line. Let's see what
Jerry
George
Rice,
Godsey can come up with. Yep.
See Jerry Rice in a Raider uniform.
That still looks different, doesn't it?
That won't compute. No, not in my mind.
Godsey from the gun. Over the middle. Oh, boy, almost intercepted by Quentin Harris, and he would have been off to the races. That ball went right by the umpire's ear, and Quentin Harris, the captain of the defensive secondary, had he held on, I think he'd have scored a touchdown.
Yeah, Harris is reading him the whole way. Here's Harris right here. Right there, number 4. Take a look at him.
Umpire had to duck, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
That might have been why he didn't catch it. He didn't see it coming until the umpire ducked. He's still holding his hat. He wants that one back. 2nd down and 10. Godsey looking left the whole way and goes that way. Incomplete. Nice coverage by Willie Ford on Kelly Campbell.
That was a break for Godsey because Harris could have picked that ball off on the previous play, and this game could have been 10-7, and this one too.
Good coverage.
It's not a good route. Campbell went down and rounded his route, and Ford read the thing the whole way.
George Godsey started hot, but now he's 9 out of 17. He's missed his last 4 passes. Draw play. Not the way you draw it up, though. Josh Thomas stays home, makes a stop. No gain for Joe Burns. And all Georgia Tech did was use about 25 seconds to clock there. They got nothing out of the punt return by Kelly Rhino, and our first half just about ready to wind to a close. Valvoline at the half coming up with John and Terry. And they're just around the corner and just across the river. George O'Leary's 13th ranked Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech with a lead, but it's a precarious one. At halftime, Georgia Tech with a field goal and a 1-yard touchdown that they really had to work at on the ground to get it in there. And they have a 10-point lead over Syracuse. Let's go down to Lynn Swann.
Well, we're disappointed we missed an easy field goal. I think that I'm happy with the way Troy Nunes is playing. He threw the ball behind the receiver on the outcut, but other than that, I think he's playing pretty good.
What decisions will you make for the second half?
Well, I think what we've got to do is we've got to get some type of rolled up defense out on Campbell. You know, the soft coverage out there is hurting us. He's backing us off because of his speed, and they're hitting a lot of short stuff, the hooks and the outs. So we got to get some type of rolled up zone over there. Got to get a guy on him and a guy behind him.
Coupled with your defensive pressure, that would serve to stop him. But on the offensive side of the ball, how are you going to move the ball a little bit further down the field?
Well, I think that we've got to get a little bit more of the run game going. I think we've got some run possibilities. I don't think the offense is doing bad. I think Troy is, you know, he's playing well. I think he's completing some passes. So we're just going to go in and talk about it a little bit. I think we've got more offense, a little more offense than we've shown.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yep.
All right, Swanee, thanks. It's Georgia Tech leading 10-0 in the Kickoff Classic. John Saunders and Terry Bowden at Times Square Stadium, standing by in New York, fellas. 10-0 at Giant Stadium. Georgia Tech leading Syracuse in the Kickoff Classic 2001. Brad Nessler and Bob Greasy back with you. And, you know, we saw a little bit of it yesterday with Nebraska. They struggled with TCU. This Georgia Tech team doesn't look like a national championship contender right now either.
Brad, I've been around college and pro football for 34 years. And if it's August, the defense is ahead of the offense.
Boy, they have been so far.
And that's where we are. The opening drives by both teams were pretty good. Following that, the offenses haven't done anything.
There's one of Dwight Freeney's 2 sacks. Nunes threw this one. Marvius Hester took it back to the 6. Joe Burns capped a 6-yard drive. That's how hard they had to work to get it in the end zone. And then Nunes took this shot from Chris Young right under the kisser. That's the way the defense is played today. Let's check in with Lynn Swann. Swanee.
Well, thank you, Brad. George O'Leary came out and he said what we need to do offensively is try and run the ball. So don't look for him to change up a whole lot. He wants to establish some kind of run game. And then he says he wants to make sure that Gotze is going to get more one-on-one shots to Campbell, which worked for him so well in the first half. But his real concern was, well, you know what I'm going to say. Number 54, Dwight Freeney.
Yeah.
How do you stop him? He said somebody in our offensive line or a couple of people have to step up and keep that guy off Gotze's back.
He hasn't spent much time in that position.
The feeling
today.
I get is O'Leary would like to have him on his side.
You're not kidding. He and Gathers and Rogers would be a nice trio.
Oh, boy.
The kick takes Maurice Jackson deep. Monjay knocked it in the end zone for the touchback. So Syracuse will work from its own 20-yard line. Statistically, in the first half, the total yardage looks pretty good for Georgia Tech in the passing yardage, but look at that anemic ground game. That's 21 yards, and Joe Burns had to carry it 14 times for 16 yards.
Hey, that's not much for offensive stats right there.
3 trips in the red zone, 10 points for Georgia Tech, 1 trip in there for Syracuse, and they missed a chip shot field goal, which is part of their problems last year. Let's see how they do in their opening March 3rd quarter. Fake the handoff to Mungro. This is Nunes on the option. He'll keep it again. Tough kid. Got about 8 or 9. And he's going to be slow to get up again, I think.
I wonder what they call that play. That was the same play they ran earlier where he runs around the end and he picks up one of the wide receivers as an option to toss the ball to.
I think it's truck and trailer because every time he runs out there he thinks he got hit by a truck even though he didn't pitch to the trailer. Wimbush is the guy that got him this time.
There's the pitch man.
Well, this one didn't look as bad, just maybe landed on the ball.
I think watch him when he's on the ground. When he's on the ground, well, you can't see it. I think somebody lands on his foot, his right ankle.
So same play in very similar results for Troy Nunes.
A lot of things. He could have fallen on the ball, and they're not looking at his ankle.
He had the ball. You're going to see it do kind of a bounce down underneath him and come right back up in the solar plexus right there.
Yeah.
Poop.
That's for sure. Right on your chest.
Let's check in with Lynn.
Oh, Brett and Bob, when I was at USC, John McKay ran this play to a halfback we had there, and he got his knee busted up. Came back and called the same play again, and Sam Cunningham, our fullback, got his knee busted up. You know what happened to that play?
Went out the window.
It was out of the playbook for the rest of the season.
I think for the second time today, Nunes got the wind knocked out of him.
You saw him holding his chest. Right now that football's got 13 psi, and Troy's only got about 9 in his lungs. So he'll walk off, and R.J. Anderson will come back in. R.J. comes into a better spot this time. The last time he came in, it was a 3rd down and long, and they sent the house after him. This time it's 2nd down and a yard.
Syracuse had the ball 5 possessions in the first half. They punted the ball 3 times, missed a field goal on their first drive, and had an interception.
Another major shift. Finally set up with 2 wideouts, including Riddle wide to the left side. Now he'll go back in motion toward the ball. Inside handoff, big opening for the fullback, and a penalty marker down as Kyle Johnson went out to the 37-yard line. Let's see what the flag's about. Illegal shift. They had a lot of shifting going on, a little bit too much.
All that movement by Syracuse does not seem to be affecting or confusing the defense for Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech hasn't moved much when they've done all that, have they?
Foul was illegal shift by the offense. Penalty is 5 yards from the previous spot. Repeat the 2nd down.
Now there's not a lot that you say in the huddle. What you do is you call the in formation that you want to line up in. So in the huddle I might say mix to trips right. So if you know you got to be trips right, you might line up on the other side and then go over to the other side. So you want to change sides usually, but just call the in formation.
Nunes back in there after 1 play out, and wide open down the middle is Noah Jackson. And Jackson's got it to the 47-yard line of Georgia Tech, a 29-yard pass play.
The first big play in a long time for the Syracuse Orangemen. Jackson right down the middle of the field. Nice protection, Nunes. That's a good play. Throws a little bit onto the outside of him, and Jackson shifts around, only 5'8", and makes a nice catch.
And into Georgia Tech territory, inside the 47-yard line. Again.
Nobody on the defense is moving, though.
Now Mungro takes a step up behind Nunes, a single setback. Going to be a quick throw, and Jackson, tough catch. Great spin move, trying to get away. And he got 7 or 8 yards out of it.
Well, I mentioned he's only 5'8", weighs 169 pounds. He's got all the speed. Run the reverses with him, and he makes the big plays. Top of your screen, just a little stop route. There's one guy miss. Another guy miss.
Looked like a politician avoiding a straight answer. Pretty elusive. Pulled a condit on us down there.
Boy.
2nd down, a long yard.
Well, you've been had all summer to work on these lines, huh?
Connie Chung called me with that one.
Yeah.
2nd, a long yard. And Mungro's got a 1st down. Had to work hard for it. Followed his blockers inside the 35. Kieran Fox made the tackle, but James Mungro, the senior tailback, picks up the 1st, and Syracuse has got something working here.
It's from behind the defense.
Hey, Bob, Brad, you're talking about all this motion and stuff. Bob, I'm just wondering if that doesn't force the defense just to stay in something simple, which makes it for an easier read for the quarterback.
I think first game, Swanee, they didn't know what to expect, and so I think they came in defensively saying we're not going to do much.
Nunes, again, he's going to keep it, and again he gets planted. Darrell Smith. Boy, Smith shows some excellent speed from that middle linebacker position.
He does. He really does.
Freshman All-American last year. Bob said earlier, led the team in tackles. plays off the block and wraps him up for a loss of about 3. There's his numbers from last year. Only a sophomore out of Albany, Georgia, or as the folks there call it, Albany.
Yeah, he was an outstanding player in high school and a top recruit, and has continued on his good play in college.
Second down, long 12. Looked like the tight end or the left tackle came out of his stance, and I think it was Pat Alexander, the captain, who's an All-American type candidate at left tackle, just came out of his stance a little too early. Illegal procedure, Syracuse.
Yeah, the coaches talk very highly about Alexander, saying his real position should be center, but he's moved out to left tackle. Number 69 there on the end of the line.
Played center a couple of years ago, and they think NFL-wise he could be maybe a high draft choice at the center spot if he moves back in there at the next level. So now they're going the wrong way. Second down and 17. 4 wideout grouping for Troy Nunes. Has time. Deep middle. Got it. Inside the 25, and I've spin. Down to the 15-yard line, David Tyree. 28-yard pickup. So Nunes has gone 27 yards to Jackson, now 28 yards to Tyree.
Nicely done. Good job by the offensive line, giving him a little protection. Nunes finds his receiver. I was looking downfield, and he was the only one open, was Tyree, and he got him the ball.
As Swanee said, he makes pretty good decisions. That was the best decision there. Now here's a toss to Mungro. Trying to get a blocker. Broke one tackle. Run out of bounds after maybe a yard pickup. Chris Young and Jeremy Myers from the secondary for Georgia Tech up to make the stop. James Mungro, highly touted as he came to Syracuse, and they've expected big things out of him. George DeLeon said the other day, you know what, he's out of years.
Yeah,
you got to do it now.
That's right. It's emergency. He's a good player.
8th play of the drive, and a second down and 9. Both wideouts trot out to the right side. Campbell's out there with Tyree. Inside give. Johnson down to the 5. Penalty markers, though, at the line of scrimmage. And Kyle might have had his second good run negated by penalty, depending on which way this one goes. He had one earlier in this drive.
Johnson dislocated his ankle last year.
It is motion, and again, it'll go against Syracuse.
Johnson got a 6th year, which he was delighted for.
Yep.
One of the captains on this team, and also quite an actor, I guess.
I guess so. An awfully sharp young man, and talking to him yesterday.
Yeah, very impressive.
He had a good start going to that game against Buffalo last year in the opener before that injury.
Offense was not set prior to the snap. 5 yards from the previous spot. Still second down.
So on this drive, they've had an illegal shift, and then that time not set before the snap, but that's what a lot of that motion does to you sometimes.
And a lot of it's coming on the offensive side of the ball. And the offense, you know, it's tough enough to go against a defense without stopping yourself.
And it's second down at 14. Blitz coming from the safety spot. Nunes got to get rid of it. Middle screen to Mungro. Nice stiff arm.
He left his blockers. He ran to the left side. All of his blockers were over on the right.
He tried to stiff arm Chris Young.
I don't think there was anybody for him to block. Everybody was blitzing.
Yeah, there were a lot of bees coming up the middle.
Yeah, all the orange guys are going to the right, and he heads off to the left.
Ran into Young, and then the cleanup.
Wonder if he's colorblind.
Like Gary Johnson. Third down now and long. 3rd and 12. Nunes fires across the middle. Completes it. And might be a face mask at the end of that play.
I think
Riddle made the catch, and then it got all turned around by Keith Fox.
There's a lot of laundry out there. There's 4 or 5 flags laying on the ground.
I think there's a fox in the hen house on that one. Got his hand in the face mask, I believe. Yep. He would have been stopped way short of the first down.
Yeah.
There's another look.
Not an intentional thing, but he held on. He didn't let go, did he?
Nope. Whether he couldn't get it out of there or by design, he gives Syracuse a first down by penalty, and it's 1st and goal. So Syracuse try to work their way back into this thing. They only trail by 10. 9.5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. 2 tight end set for the Orange on 1st and goal at the Georgia Tech 7. Straight up the gut, almost to the end zone. Kyle Johnson.
Syracuse is not fooling around by going with that option around the end and those 2 ends for Georgia Tech. Everything off the option seems to be inside.
Kyle Johnson told us yesterday, if I can make it to the end zone in my first game back in my 6th year of eligibility, you don't even know how that'd feel. I don't know if they'll give it to him here, but he's gotten them close. 2nd down at the 1-yard line. The give. And the touchdown.
It's a good thing they didn't give it to Johnson.
He got peppered and Nunes took it in. So the guy that's been beaten up all day on those option keepers keeps it again, and this time it pays off for Troy Nunes. He's in the end zone. We're an extra point away from a 3-point ball game.
Well, they almost dropped the football.
Looked like maybe he was trying to give it to Johnson, and Johnson knocked him forward. Here comes the old swinging gate as they'll bring the group over for the extra point.
They have some plays designed where that swinging gate stays over there, and they'll run one. That's why they do it initially.
Schaefer for the point after. Snaps a little wide. The kick was ugly, but it's good.
Ooh, ugly is right.
They cut it to a field goal, though. Nunes got blasted by his fullback. It might have been just enough force to send him to the end zone. 10-7. I'm not sure about that play.
Well, if you want to have a drive to come out the second half, this is what you want. 80 yards. Now watch the ball right there. You're going to see it being knocked loose. And there's the fullback, Johnson. He's going back the other way. The middle linebacker hit him.
Designed to go to the fullback. The ball came loose, and Nunes just said, I'm going to do it myself.
Or maybe he saw the middle linebacker coming and said,
One of the two.
I don't want to give it to you.
At any rate, he's earned the respect of his teammates today, I'll tell you, with the shots he's taken. And he got him in the end zone. And now Justin Sajanski to kick off.
Nunes was 5 of 5 on the drive and hit 4 different receivers. So he came out second half and took him down.
Sajanski's kick. Kelly Campbell from the 5. And nice job on the special teams to drop Campbell at the 20. Diamond Ferry down there on the special teams makes a big hit. Our Morgan Stanley well-connected storyline. Syracuse 50 yards rushing. Nunes, as Bob said, perfect in that drive. Good for 70 of their 80 yards. Georgia Tech. Kelly Campbell's had a big game. That's about it, though. George Godsey has cooled off. He's 9 of 17, but he'll bring the Ramblin' Wreck up to its own 21-yard line right here. Perfect march for Syracuse. That's exactly what they needed. We got a ball game. 3-pointer. Tech still trying to run and still unable to. Joe Burns, no gain. Mark Holtzman. Kind of an electrifying tackle by the tackle. Swanee, this guy's a little bit off, isn't he?
Well, what a setup.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, we're going to have to call him Taser as a nickname. And if we can't, I'll tell you the story after this play.
All right. 2nd down and 9. In fact, it's all of 10. There was no gain there. Godsey, play fake, got a man open, got him out across the 40 to the 45-yard line is Kelly Campbell again.
Okay, so let's talk about Mark Holtzman, which we're going to call Taser. His father is a deputy police chief called him in one day, said, you know, we got one of these taser guns, son, and we want to test it. Shot his son with the taser gun. It didn't work the first time. They shot him again the second time. It worked. 50,000 votes, dropped him. It's to apprehend criminals in a more harmless fashion. But boy, your own son.
Yeah, that's the kind of dad you want, huh? At the 41, quick slant, Campbell again. And Campbell's on his way maybe to a 200-yard receiving day before this one's all over.
I like the setup on that. If you go down, you go to Swanee and say, hey, what an electrifying guy.
Oh, boy. There's Mark, and he's a good one. He's up for some honors here, fifth-year senior.
One of those leaders on the defense.
He's a Lombardi candidate, Nagurski candidate. You got to be a tough guy to get 50,000 volts blasted through you by your own father. 7 receptions, 153 yards for Kelly Campbell. Whoa! Burns almost didn't get the handoff from Godsey. And he's not going anywhere. Willie Ford just bulldogs him out of bounds. There's a stretch play that was stretched a little too wide. I didn't think Godsey had a long enough arm to get it there.
Well, there's a point in time where you got to turn it upfield and just cut your losses. I think Godsey didn't come back far enough. He went too wide, but you know, that's a loss of 3 or 4 yards.
Brings up 3rd down and 5.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech at its own 46. 7 minutes left in the 3rd. And now Tech shifts with their 2 tight end set. Syracuse thinking about a blitz. They're going to bring it from the corner. Godsey got rid of it. Incomplete. He had Campbell on a crossing pattern. It might have been a big gainer, but Josh Thomas got to Godsey just when the goose let go.
Yeah, he couldn't hold it any longer. He did a nice job, and I think the concerns of George O'Leary going into the game about his health have been answered because he's been hit, knocked, and pounded.
Ooh.
Look at that.
Josh Thomas with a big shot from his defensive end spot on a little bit of a stunt. Dan Dyke to kick. Malik Campbell is back in punt return formation. He had a school record 32 punt returns last year. He waits on this one. Late fair catch call. And now the ball pops loose. His own man ran into him, then a Georgia Tech player. I don't see a flag. And I think they're just going to blow it dead right there and let bygones be bygones, I think.
But it was a late fair catch signal.
It's just a 1st down.
I guess they ruled he was down before he fumbled.
Yep. So Syracuse has the ball back. They trail by a field goal. Blimp Stars and Stripes continuing a 76-year tradition of making appearances at major sporting events like this kickoff classic that now is tightened up 10-7. The play that went to break, as we showed you on that punt return, you're going to see the knee down of Campbell.
He's going to have late fair catch signal, but he's got possession and the knee is down.
Yep, the play's dead right there.
Yeah.
So that's where they work, just inside their own 20-yard line. And after putting together an 80-yard drive to open the 3rd quarter, they've got it right back. And a chance to take it down the field and tie or lead. Nunes drops into the gun. Keep it on the ground on the inside handoff. Out across the 20 to the 21 goes Mungro. Georgia Tech's had to change up its secondary a little bit down there, Lynn. Trying to get down to Swanee. He's telling us about the change in the secondary and the reason for it.
Young, number 33. Normally the strong safety is moved out to the corner because of the injury, hamstring injury to Hester.
Marvius Hester, who had the interception that led to the Tech touchdown, Swanee says is nursing a hamstring, so they shift some people in that defensive backfield. Late blitz coming. Nunes got rid of it. Would have been a tough catch, thrown behind David Tyree. And Corey Collins, the guy that's playing safety with Chris Young having moved to corner, is the man that made the play.
And that's the thing you hate to see about this, is that the receiver, the route was there, the receiver was open, and the quarterback just didn't get him the ball. He just threw it a little bit behind him because he had to throw it maybe a little bit before he wanted to also.
Third down's been tough for the Orange today. 3rd and 8 here, and they've missed on their last 6 third down conversions. Noon's in trouble. Got away from one. Throws on the run, and it's out of bounds, incomplete. Gathers is the guy that finally tracked him, but it was Darrell Smith that put on the initial heat that Noons had to bail out of.
Good job by the defense. Georgia Tech coming in, shutting them down 3 and out. Good field position probably for Georgia Tech.
4th time Syracuse has been 3 and out today. Schaefer to kick. Tech has put very little pressure on him today. They've had the return set up every time. Same story here. Kind of a high lazy kick, and Georgia Tech will just try to get out of the way of this one as it's going to roll out of bounds at about the 46-yard line. So as Bob said, Georgia Tech will have good field position offensively when we come back. They lead by 3. This guy's done his homework. Marlon Greenwood, former great linebacker, and now he's liking Clifton Smith, who went to the same high school as Marlon. And you and I were down in Miami last week. The Dolphins love Marlon Greenwood.
Drafted him in the 3rd round, and he injured his foot. Dave Wanstead said he'd be starting for us right now had he not injured his foot.
From the 46, Gotze play action through the out. Campbell's got it. Another 11-yard pickup. Another catch for Kelly Campbell. And he continues to put up some impressive numbers in his season opening game. He's got 164 yards on 8 catches. As we told you earlier, he's already put himself on top of the Georgia Tech record books in career receiving.
Pasqualoni was talking about putting double coverage in, put some coverage over towards him. But as long as they don't get on the scoreboard, that defense is doing a pretty good job of containing.
Burns finally got a little bit of room to run. That's his best run of the day. Netted him about 6 yards. Keenan Walker is there with Scanlon, the linebacker, to make the hit.
They list him at Joe Burns at 5'10". He doesn't look like he's 5'10". 205 pounds.
Had over 900 yards on the ground last year after a season that was lost the previous year to injury. Play action. Gotze, deep ball. Underthrew his intended receiver, Kelly Campbell. Had he put that where it had to be, it probably would have been a touchdown.
Well, the pressure, I don't know if it came from Freeney or from Thomas on the other side, but it was, if he would have had time to throw, this is what you see down there. Throw it outside into the middle, down the field. He could have outrun the defensive back, but
might have been Gashlin, 99.
Yeah,
yep.
Gashlin.
So 3rd down. Georgia Tech leading by a very small field goal.
That's a nice play by Gashlin because that could have been a touchdown.
Yep.
Defensive linemen get very little credit, interior linemen especially.
5-man front for Syracuse, trying to bring some pressure. Gotze throwing for Campbell again. Diving attempt incomplete. Jeremiah Mason staying with Kelly Campbell pretty well. And a penalty marker in the backfield. Did they hit him late?
Yep. Good call. From behind the defense. This is a good throw. It's right where it needs to be.
Where only his receiver could catch it, but not quite.
Yep.
It is a late hit on Syracuse defense. Josh Thomas.
Yeah, that's a tough one because that would have.
Foul was a personal foul. Roughing the passer by the defense. Penalty 15 yards.
Yeah, see, that was a 3rd down play. It would have been 4th down. It's like a turnover. You give the ball back and let him try it again.
C97 Thomas. Oh, and he got sandwiched from the other side too. It was 2 guilty parties there, Holtzman and Thomas.
Yeah.
So 1st down, Georgia Tech at the Syracuse 23. Burns inside the 20 to the 19. Got about 4. Holtzman and Dumas combine on the stop. And we're working our way down to the 4-minute mark in the third quarter. Georgia Tech coming in ranked 13th in the country and trying to hold on to a field goal lead against unranked Syracuse, a team that went 6-5 last year, 4-3 in the Big East.
And I don't think a lot of people gave Syracuse a lot of credit.
Nope. They're playing a lot better than a lot of people thought they would. Quentin Harris holding on to Joe Burns as Joe almost got a first down on that run. It'll be about a yard shy.
Like I say, I think if Syracuse gets their quarterback situation straightened out and they get consistent play, they can be a factor in the Big East. Right there with Miami and also Virginia Tech.
Smith and Watkins, the wide receivers. You'd expect Tech to keep this on the ground in a 3rd and 1, though, and they do. And Burns just puts his head down, and that time, that's tough running. Whatever Joe Burns' size is, that time he earned his keep. First down, Georgia Tech.
The offensive line, Schmidgall and Blake and Riley up front, Bennett, Kimball, doing a nice job of just putting hat on hat and letting Burns find a gap.
Remember, Syracuse has only given up 2 touchdown passes in now the last 27 quarters. And Tech will keep it on the ground to Burns close to the 5. That's a long stretch of time without giving up that many aerial tosses in the end zone. They've done a good job.
And Gotsu and Georgia Tech threw 23 touchdown passes last year. That's over a little over 2 touchdown passes a game. You'd think they'd send Campbell out there and just throw him one-on-one.
2nd and goal at the 6. Burns. Nope. Check in with Swanee.
Well, Brad, the number and the person you haven't called on this drive for a while now is Dwight Freeney, number 54. He's not on the field. He's not on the sideline. He's in the locker room getting an IV. He started to cramp up. You remember we were talking to him in the interview. He talked about not drinking soda, trying to have an injury-free season where he had to go in because he was cramping up. He should be coming back out, but that's a report from the Syracuse bench.
He's out there right now. He just got back out.
It's one-on-one out there. Campbell at the top of your screen.
3rd down and 5. Late shift. Burns on the give. A yard or 2, and it's 4th down. And George Godsey looks to the sideline to Coach O'Leary. Are they going to go for it here again? Nope. George just made the foot motion, bring out the field goal unit.
You know what you got here? You got George O'Leary, who is a tough guy, run-it-in type of guy, and then you don't have Ralph Friedgen any longer. Ralph Friedgen was there forever and liked all these imaginative ideas, throw the ball and how to get it in. But I think George is dominating with his conservative calls on running plays.
Luke Monjay knocks in a 20-yard field goal. So it gives Georgia Tech 3 more, but their coach is not happy. He gave his offense an earful when they came off the field. So Monjay's 2nd field goal of the day. He had a 22-yarder earlier. That one's a 20-yarder. And with 1:21 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, he got the 3, but he's not happy.
13-7.
And I don't blame him. But see, he's a defensive guy, and it's early. it's like I say, it's August. You know, in the offense, it takes offense is timing, defense is aggression and recognition and hitting, and it takes a little longer for the offense to get everything going.
So we've got 1:21 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Monjay will tee it up. Mungro. Campbell will go back deep to receive. Excuse me, Maurice Jackson and Mungro back deep. Both offenses have had to earn everything that they've come up with today, that's for sure. Monjay has kicked. Mo Jackson from the 1. And he's buried at about the 16-yard line. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. Wrangler, real, comfortable jeans. And Pacific Life, annuities, insurance, investments. Discover the power of Pacific Life. New York City in our view. We're in the Meadowlands, East Rutherford, New Jersey, at Giant Stadium for the Kickoff Classic. Brad Nessler, Bob Greasy, Lynn Swan, and our ABC crew on what is a 6-game college football weekend to get things going for 2001. And in this one, it's 13-7. The Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech leading Syracuse. This is the backup tailback, Diamond Ferry. Ferry got about 4.
They did a nice job of getting this field ready to play. The Giants and the Jets played here last night.
I wouldn't want to spend a lot of time between those hash marks, though, if you were really looking for some plush grass.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I think they're going to have to bring out the pallets this week and put some new stuff in here. 2nd and 6. Both wideouts trot out to the near side. An eye backfield and a play fake. Nunes throws on the run. Got a man open. Jackson. And Jackson again trying to break a tackle. Staying with him, though. Albert Poirier, the corner. And number 1 tackles number 1, but it's a pickup of 13.
I like Troy Nunes getting outside the pocket, moving the ball. You've got to mix some passing in there. I mentioned earlier, Syracuse normally gets it done on the running game on the ground. 18th in the nation last year in run offense, 92nd in the nation through the air. So Nunes doing a nice job of mixing it in.
Here comes a late blitz. He goes over the middle and he got his man again. Might be a first down. Johnny Morant. Chris Young made the tackle. But in the waning seconds here of the 3rd quarter, Troy Nunes put that one right on the money too. Looking to the sideline for the play, and there's Troy's numbers, and those aren't shabby at all. Had that one misfire that Hester intercepted that helped Tech score a touchdown, but the 3rd quarter's come to a close, and he's got his Syracuse offense moving again. Paul Pasqualoni says good job, gives him a pat on the rear end, and the 3rd quarter's come to a close. Tough ball game for both teams. They've had to fight for everything they've gotten. 13-7. ABC Sports presentation of college football will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. That's Ted Roof, Georgia Tech's defensive coordinator. As Bob mentioned earlier, back in the mid-'80s, a heck of a linebacker on that Black Watch defense of a Georgia Tech team coached by our buddy Bill Curry. But he just not only got his starters around him during that quarter break, he brought the whole defense in a huddle out around him and gave him a little pep talk. Let's see if it works. Syracuse has a first down to start the 4th quarter as they trail by 6. Just inside the 43-yard line. Nunes with time, running out, sidearmed it out, trying to get it out to Diamond Ferry, and it's incomplete. Errol Smith got some late pressure on Nunes, and he had to sidearm that thing out of there. That'll bring up 2nd and 10. Paul Pasqualoni, 81 wins in his 11th season now.
He was there. He was an assistant coach there for like 4 years before, so he's got 15 years at the school.
Named the head coach in '91. And a 2nd down 10. Georgia Tech showing blitz and bringing it. Nunes over the middle, completes it, and a swarm of Yellow Jackets around the ball carrier, or their wide receiver David Tyree. Going to bring up 3rd and long.
It's a little bit surprising, I think, to a lot of people that Georgia Tech is not running away with this game, because they were the one with the offense that came in. And their offense has really been shut down for the most part by Syracuse defensively.
3rd down at 7. They pull the shift and bring all 3 receivers to the near side. Straight rush by Georgia Tech. Nunes rolls and throws a dart again. Now the spot's going to be important here.
I think he's going to be just short.
Me too. I think it's about the length of the football, but we'll wait and see. Pori brought down the receiver, and our referee's going to bring the chain gang out, I think. You talk about our 1st and 10 presented by Pontiac. That's giving you a pretty good look right there. But we officially will bring those little links in the chain out here to make sure.
That yellow line is just an approximation. It's not an exact science, or just to give you an idea at home about where the 1st down is.
We said the length of the football short, about that much. Maybe just between the stripes on the ball short.
I like that yellow line. I think that's one of the great new innovations in football.
So it's 4th down. And Syracuse will go for it in Georgia Tech territory here in the 4th quarter. Big play right here. The game could swing on this one. Now, will Nunes try to draw a Tech offside?
If they go for it, this is a gutsy call. I mean, Syracuse is the underdog coming into the ball game. They've got a veteran offensive line, a lot of 5th-year seniors out there.
He's going to quarterback sneak. I don't know, Bob. I don't know. That is going to be as close, if not closer, than the last spot, I think. Those guys are going to get a workout. Chain's going to have to come back jogging in from the far side again. They don't want anybody touching that ball. If he got it by about an inch.
Yeah, this was a gutsy call by Paul on the sideline over there.
By that much. Wow.
And who really knows?
And who knows exactly?
Because you dive into a pile and some linesman comes over from the side.
You talk about an inexact science.
Oh yeah, put your right foot down, or left foot down. But you hope that in the end, they all come out even. But gutsy call.
So they keep it alive. A touchdown would give them the lead. They're in Georgia Tech territory at the 48. Nunes fires high and incomplete, intended for Joe Donnelly as tight end. And Pori, the cornerback, back there helping out with Wimbush, the linebacker.
Yeah, Wimbush on the right side of the screen really got the coverage, and there was 3 guys downfield and they were all covered. He threw it the only place he could get. The only thing Troy will say, give me a faster guy. I had a linebacker. He was on a linebacker, for goodness sakes.
So 2nd down and 10, just inside the Georgia Tech 48. 9th play of the Syracuse drive, and we're still playing around midfield here. Inside handoff. Berry, about 5. It'll bring up 3rd and 5. Wimbush again in on the tackle, and Ferry a little bit slow to try to get to his feet. Gets a little help from one of his linemen.
There was a collision down there.
Sure was.
Wimbush is number 42. I think that's who's going to hit him.
Oh,
right there. He's in on the last 2 plays. Wimbush is a true junior. He started every game at Georgia Tech. He started 25 games in a row.
That was a helmet knocker. In fact, it knocked Ferry's helmet off, and Mungro comes back in to flank Nunes in the shotgun. Troy rolls left, wide open. 1st down, it's Kyle Johnson. Their captain keeps the drive alive with a big catch.
Nice catch by Kyle Johnson, the 6th-year graduate student, the actor, the captain. We mentioned he was injured in the 1st game last year and missed the whole season. That's a nice catch. Reaching up, keeping your feet, making the first down.
We asked George DeLeon how much it meant to get him back for his 6th year, and he said talent-wise, yes, but character and emotional heart of the team, we needed him bad.
We were talking to him yesterday, and he almost started crying on camera. I want to know, was he acting, or was he really getting that emotional?
At the 35, first down, Syracuse. Nunes fakes the end around. Now he goes back to the man he faked it to. Well, a lot of play in there, but good staying home by Jeremy Myers. And now Nunes is shaky again.
My man Troy is going to set a record for the most time the medical staff going to have to come out to attend to you. It's a fake reverse, and then he's going to throw it back to him. There was nobody else downfield. I was looking downfield. And that's not where he wanted to go with it for the number 1. I think another receiver was jammed and didn't get downfield.
They actually lost a yard. It's 2nd down and 11. Nunes, quick one, tipped in the air, trying to throw a slant. Jeremy Myers, who made the last tackle, also made that play. Troy's down in a crouch again.
That's the top of your screen. Myers coming in, just unblocked, does a nice job of anticipating. Troy down on his stooping down in between plays here lately.
Looking for some extra gas in the tank, I think. 3rd down and 11. Over the middle, he's got a man open. It's tipped at the line again. This time I think it was Fred Wright that got a big paw on the way.
And he had a man open, crossing route. That's partly the quarterback's fault and partly offensive line. The quarterback needs to look away and then get the ball over the line of scrimmage before. It's the offensive lineman's fault if they don't keep contact. So you need to keep contact with the defensive man so he can't jump.
So Schaefer now right at the midfield stripe. Kelly Rhino back at the 10-yard line. Schaefer high, wide snap. And not a good kick off the side of his foot. But he gets a great bounce.
It's going to be all right, though.
A really great bounce. Out of bounds at the 1.5. Sometimes the ugliest of kicks can be a thing of beauty, huh? 13-7 Georgia Tech, but they're in a tough spot on offense when we come back. League World Series presented by Honda. Apopka, Florida, taking on Japan for the World Championship game. 6:30 Eastern. The game will also be available in SAP. Brent Musburger and the guys will be standing by after we're done here, and you get some of your local news.
What an ugly punt. But you know what? That's ugly. That's a dug. But you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right?
And right now Schaefer's beholding that kick because it went out just outside the one.
Schaefer thinks that's a beautiful punt.
And Georgia Tech backed up in the shadow of their own posts.
Single coverage up there at the top, all over the field.
He's going to throw that way. And a diving catch by Kelly Campbell.
They pulled the string on a little bit. Godsey did. You do that because you can't see the receiver. There's guys in between you. You know where he's going to be, but you don't know if there's a defensive man going to pick it off. So you kind of pull the string on it.
And if he gets Kelly Campbell standing up here, he might wheel on LaTroy Oliver and never look back.
I don't know why they just don't go around 10 yards and stop and hit him, give him the ball.
Oh, man, I am telling you, there is nothing to do with a ground game for Georgia Tech today. Swanee?
Well, you know, we're talking about Godsey, and he got that pass to Campbell, and it was completed. But throughout this afternoon, I'm watching him, and Bob, he just doesn't look like he's throwing the ball well. Some of the passes he's thrown have been kind of floaters. They've been wobbly in there, a little bit short of the receiver. Yes, he's getting pressure, but I just don't see him throwing the ball very well this afternoon.
Might be that he's been getting knocked around. But like I say, I think that time he was concerned, backed up, throwing out of your own end zone, that you weren't going to get it picked off.
Sidney Ford in the backfield now. Play fake, Godsey. This time he throws a nice one. Out across the 30 to the 32. Who else? Kelly Campbell, 20 more yards.
And they've run that play a couple of times, and it's worked into the short side of the field. He's going to come down, release to the inside the defensive back, and then Kelly has to throw the ball. Gotze has to throw the ball to Kelly over the linebacker and in front of the defensive back. That was not an easy throw, short side of the field.
Kelly Campbell, 10 catches and 193 yards. Wow. He's got single coverage on the near side again, but it's a ground game for Tech, and it's Ford. That's their best run of the day. About 9 yards. Little quick opener, Willie Ford. It was a Ford on a Ford there. One put a bumper on the other, and it's 2nd down and 1.
Oh, boy. You ready for some football there, partner?
I guess so. And now Kelly Campbell comes up limping. Georgia Tech fans don't want to see that, I'll tell you that much.
You know, he was downfield blocking for his partner.
Check on that to see if it's a cramp. Could be this late in this game. Swanee told us earlier it's pretty hot down there. 10 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Some wicked collisions in the backfield today, and that one led by Lewis Gashlin again. 280-pound sophomore out of Miami put a big hit on there, and it's 3rd down and short.
Yeah, it looks like a cramp.
Yep. This is a big 3rd down for both teams with 9.5 to go. Joe Burns back in the lineup behind the fullback Mitchell. They'll run him. He didn't get it. Quentin Harris from the secondary, the first guy there. Look at that smile. One of their captains in that secondary, a 4-year starter, makes a big play. One of the Orangemen down. And let's see who it is. I think it's Burton.
Yeah.
Charles Burton, who started the game at outside linebacker. And a little woozy and slow to get up.
I think he's got a cramp too. Weighs. Yeah.
Yep. Can't put any pressure on his right foot. His right calf is cramping up on him.
Surprised we haven't had more of that as hot as it is down there on the field. There's one on the other side.
So Georgia Tech's got to give it up. And Morehouse to punt. Malik Campbell back deep for Syracuse. Did that hit a Syracuse player? I guess not. It almost looked like one of the guys running down on the wide side that it hit his foot, but it goes out of bounds anyway. 37-yard kick. Syracuse is a touchdown away from a possible win, and they've got 8:40 to work with when we come back. That's Georgia Tech offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien in the middle. Mac McWhorter to the left of the screen, the offensive line coach, and David Kelly, the receivers coach. They got the whole offense thinking over there, trying to figure out what to do to win this football game. But right now, George O'Leary's defense has to stop Syracuse.
They're good coaches, but Ralph Friedgen is not there making the calls. They got to develop a chemistry with Bill O'Brien. They have to have good confidence, not in his Billy, but his play call.
Over the middle, nice pass, and it's Tyree again. He's got a first down out across the 35, close to the 37. David Tyree's been a busy receiver today. He's a New Jersey native too, so he's having a good time in front of some of the hometown folks.
Last year he made a lot of noise by blocking kicks right over the center.
Had a school record 3 block punts on special teams, but today 7 catches, 67 yards for the junior. First down out across the 36-yard line. 8:15 left. Mungro tries a stiff arm. He's cut down. Nice open field tackle by Albert Poree. As we go to Times Square Stadium in New York, John Saunders. John.
Brad, it's time for the Coors Light update from the world of baseball. Sammy Sosa with 2 home runs toward the Cubs today, number 50 and 51. He joins Mark McGwire, who's only the 2nd player to do it 4 straight years, only the 3rd to do it 4 years overall. Babe Ruth also in there. 4-0. Brad.
Thanks, John, and congratulations, Sammy. What a hitter.
That's a great story.
2nd down, 13. Nunes in trouble. Still in trouble. Found an open man in Mungro. But he's going to be dropped at about the line of scrimmage. You might have lost a yard, in fact.
When he threw that ball, there was nobody around Mungro, and about 3 or 4 Georgia Tech defenders got on him in a minute. And this talks to the development of the last couple of years. We were talking about O'Leary, about the speed of the defense.
Nobody on the screen there, but all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom.
He said, if we're going to compete with Florida State in this conference, we've got to get faster guys. We got to get better guys, and we got to get faster guys.
Biggest third down of the day, obviously. And it's Syracuse with a 3rd and a dozen. Nunes, plenty of time as he sets and goes long. He's got a man out there. Incomplete. Couldn't hold it. Johnny Morant got up, got his hands on it, almost had a second chance to catch it when he hit the turf, but he couldn't hang on. Jonathan Cox was there covering, and Syracuse has to give it up.
All right, Morant, number 2, is going to go deep. He's the young man with all the potential. Catch it again.
Almost.
He just has to do it. They speak very highly about him, probably higher than any of the receivers.
Schaefer, great punt. Rhino looks up from the 18, made the first 2 miss.
Nice move.
Kelly Rhino, a little fella, gets across the 30 to the 31. A nice return, and 6:20 remaining in the ball game. Almost for Syracuse on that long ball, but Georgia Tech's got it when we come back. From high above Giant Stadium, our pictures from the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes, based in Pompano Beach, Florida. At the controls, pilot Tracy Rockhold from Akron, Ohio. Captain, good to have you with us. Thanks for the great pictures from above the Meadowlands. Syracuse schedule is murderer's row up through the 22nd of September. When you consider Tennessee, Central Florida is not a pushover by any means. East Carolina from their conference in Auburn. And they could make a big statement if they could pull an upset somehow here in the next 6 minutes. And for Georgia Tech, Bob, you look at them, you know that they wanted to come out of the blocks, make a statement game, win this thing big, and say, okay, we are a top 10 team. But you know what? They are struggling for every little thing they've got, and they've got the Citadel and Navy before that big showdown on the 15th of September.
Well, they don't quite have the non-conference schedule that Syracuse has, but they got that big one in Florida State, and then back-to-back with Clemson. That'll be the 2 big games for them in conference.
Yep. 2nd and 9. Here comes a blitz. Godsey keeps it. Flags all over the place. Let's see if it's holding on the inside. Oh, personal foul, face mask. Been a couple of big penalties today against Syracuse that have helped Georgia Tech keep things going.
You know, this is the first weekend of the college season. The last weekend of the college season will be kind of interesting too, with the championship game being held at the Rose Bowl.
Yep.
It'll be the first time in what, 55 years.
That was a personal foul. Face mask by the defense. Penalty is 15 yards from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
First time in 55 years that neither a Big Ten or a Pac-10 team will be playing at the Rose Bowl. But
unless they're 1 and 2.
Unless they're
exactly.
But I think it's going to be refreshing. I think it's going to be good to see 2 other teams playing in the Rose Bowl for a national championship.
Georgia Tech by penalty with a first down at the 46. Godsey comes up slinging. Incomplete. Too far in front of his intended receiver. Jonathan Smith stretched out for it. Couldn't get anywhere near it with 5:25 remaining. Let's take a look at our Pac Life game summary. Troy Nunes sacked 3 times, but you know what? He's been one tough cookie today. 122 passing yards. He scored their touchdown. Freeney had a couple of sacks on a drive. Godsey's had to struggle to get his 219 yards. Kelly Campbell's been the offensive star, but hasn't found the end zone. And here it's 2nd down and 10. Georgia Tech just trying to survive the next 5 minutes and head back to the flats with a win, but they're a long ways from it, and Syracuse knows it. And Scanlon's all over Burns. The running game has been nearly non-existent for Georgia Tech today.
Yeah.
27 carries for Joe Burns for 42 yards. 3rd down and 10. Got to be careful with this one, but you still want to keep the drive alive. One of those make or break plays maybe in this ball game. Godsey getting some pressure, and it's caught, but it's not a first down. The 48-yard line diving catch by Burns.
If the ball would have been thrown a little better and closer to him, he could have caught it and run. As it was, he just had to catch it, and he fell down trying to make the catch.
It is 4th down and about 5. There you see a great one-handed catch because the ball was too far in front of Burns. And a 4th down situation for Georgia Tech. They've got the quarterback and everybody out there. Unless they're going to wait, take a penalty, back up a little bit for the punt.
Yeah, they're going to let the clock run down for sure. You got 7 seconds left on the 25-second clock, so they're going to just let it run down, maybe take the penalty for sure.
And now they'll come off the field, and out trots the punting unit. So they wore the clock down to 3:39. Now you want to make sure your snap is clean to dike your punter. And then you want to kick that thing as far as you can and make Malik Campbell back up.
Because one of the things, too, on the first opening weekend of the season is special teams. And special teams are sometimes you can gain an advantage. And if one team is good on special teams, we saw last night in the Oklahoma game, he had a kickoff return for a touchdown and a punt return for a touchdown.
George O'Leary's told his troops time and time again, remember, every 5th play in a football game involves a kick of some sort. They're coming after the punter, and he had no problem getting it away. And it goes out of bounds, though, off the side of his foot a bit. Where are they going to spot it? They keep walking and keep walking to the 25-yard line. Syracuse, with 3.5 minutes to play, has a chance when we come back. Three minutes and 32 seconds remaining in the ball game in the Kickoff Classic with Bob Greasy and Lynn Swan. I'm Brad Nessler. Nice to have you along with us on this late August Sunday. Sunshine, warm temps, and a close ball game, a lot closer than anybody expected. Georgia Tech came in ranked 13th, Syracuse unranked, and now the Orange have a chance to win. It may not have been the prettiest game, but I guess drama-wise, you can't do any better than 3.5 minutes to go, and we don't know who's going to win it. Nunes waits, and now scrambles, finds an open man in and out of the hands of Maurice Jackson. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by the 2002 Pontiac Bonneville. Luxury with attitude. Lincoln Financial Group. Clear solutions in a complex world. Lycos, whatever you're into, dig into it deeper on Lycos. And Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light. Are you ready for a cold one? We might be when this one's over. 3:25 left. Coach P looking on. His team faces 2nd and 10 from its own 25. Nunes from the gun. Troy waits and fires and just had nothing on that one. Didn't have pressure, but he one-hopped it and intended for Jackson. It's really one of the first very poorly thrown balls we've seen today.
You know, Brad, start of the season, I can't remember a year when there's been so many major coaching changes and such a wide variety of people picking teams to be the #1 team at the end of the year. The paper this morning, the Post, picked Georgia Tech. Oregon State has been picked to win the national championship. Florida and Florida State. Texas has been picked. So it's a wide open season.
Here's a quick slant behind Malik Campbell. Those were 3 quick plays right there that didn't net anything. And only about 17 seconds used, 16 seconds.
What you've got is a non-passing team in a passing situation. And they didn't look like a passing team in those 3 plays. And now they got to punt the football.
Mike Schaefer will kick it. Kelly Rhino's been a busy punt returner. He dropped a couple in the Peach Bowl. But today he's been very sure-handed and very shifty back there. Schaefer, high spiral. Rhino, fair catch. He'll take it. at about the 28-yard line. 47-yard kick. 3:10 to play at Giant Stadium. Joe Burns on the carry for Georgia Tech, and I don't even know if he got a yard. Maybe. That's been the story today. And now Syracuse is going to take a timeout with 3 minutes and 3 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. So they're down to 2 timeouts. Georgia Tech has its full complement of timeouts if they need them. But the last time Syracuse had the ball, 3 incomplete passes, and they only used 16 seconds before they gave it back up to the Ramblin' Wreck. Coming up later on at the conclusion of our game, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. Find out who those fellas are in a few minutes. We get some pretty good candidates, actually. I think one might be a lock, but we won't tell you who it is. When you have one of those all-world games, you tend to win that Chevy MVP.
Next week, we're going to be at Penn State. We're going to get a look at Larry Coker coaching the Hurricanes. It should be a good one. You know, major colleges, big football schools, new coaches, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, USC.
Big time powers with new guys at the helm.
All with new coaches, just a few. Kentucky's got new coach. Maryland has Ralph Friedgen. North Carolina, Virginia.
2nd down and 8. Georgia Tech on the ground, playing it safe. That was a big run.
That's a big play.
They needed one big run all day long. They might have just gotten it.
Yeah. You don't need points. You need first downs and just let some time run off the clock.
The redshirt junior out of Thomasville, Georgia, Joe Burns, has been struggling all day. This time he put his head down, wrapped both arms around that football, and took everybody with it to a first down at the 40.
It's not a very good average, but all he needs to do is hang on to the football here.
He'll get it again. And again he breaks free. Joe Burns cuts outside. Inside the 40. His average just went up. All the way to the 26-yard line.
Bill O'Brien, I like that. Got a running play that works. He went right back to the same play. It's identical play as the last time. Breaks a tackle at the line of scrimmage.
Look at him hold on to that ball.
Yeah. That's just good play calling.
Career high 30 carries for Joe Burns, none bigger than that one. Give it to him again. And now he's got a little bit of adrenaline going now. 5 more yards.
So they're running over there to the right side behind Riley and Bennett. Matvey, the tight end.
If you would have told me 3 plays ago that Joe Burns had a chance for a 100-yard game, I would have said you were wacky. But it's a possibility now. Down to 2 minutes. Georgia Tech ranked 13th and holding 13 on the board. They don't need any more. They just have to use clock. Syracuse has 2 timeouts left. 2nd down and 5. Again, the 2 tight ends. Mitchell, the fullback. Burns again. Burns again. Little Joe. Down to the 9.
All of a sudden, the running game has come alive for Georgia Tech.
He's got 104 yards, Bob.
He was averaging 1.9 yards per carry for the first 30 carries, and now he's got over 100.
That average is still only going to be under 3.5, but the last couple of runs have probably won Georgia Tech this football game. 1:20 left, and they have it right at the 10. A lot of plays in the red zone, hasn't produced much. Burns to the 1. Holy cow. Joe says I'm in, but I don't think he is.
They have not had much success inside the red zone. That's just tough yardage.
Sure is.
Tech has been inside the red zone 6 times. 17 plays have produced 28 yards before this drive.
They're going to use as much clock in this huddle as they can. It's winding its way near the half-minute mark. It's 2nd down and goal just outside the Syracuse 1. Joe Burns has come to life on this drive when Georgia Tech desperately needed him. Joe Burns to about the 2-foot line. And that might be where the ball game ends. Syracuse apparently isn't going to stop it. George O'Leary doesn't need another touchdown. Joe Burns would maybe like one more carry.
Yeah. Players want the points. That's a nice touch by George O'Leary, just to let it go at this.
So Joe Burns, Syracuse chance for an upset on that drive. 71 yards on the day, on the drive rather, for Joe Burns. And he just helped Georgia Tech survive a big scare.
Touch of class, George O'Leary.
Yes, indeed. Our Chevrolet players of the game from our respective schools. Troy Nunes was one tough cookie today. He got Syracuse its only touchdown and took some big knocks along the way. Kelly Campbell, a near 200-yard day receiving the football for Georgia Tech. Chevrolet will donate a $1,000 scholarship in the names of those two to those respective schools. So it was a hot, long afternoon, and Georgia Tech got the scare of its early season life from a Syracuse team that was supposed to step aside for them, and it certainly didn't happen. Swannies with a winning coach. Lynn?
Coach O'Leary, it's a tough ball game. Give me your evaluation.
Well, I tell you, if you had to have a first game and a tough one, that's the kind of character game you're looking for. And, you know, we just made too many mistakes. We ran the ball at the end a little bit, and we should have been running it. But I think the big thing was, I think it was a great character game for our defense because they saw a lot. All that stuff was new. We hadn't seen that before from them as far as that bunch stuff. So
did they force you to be a little more conservative with your defense?
It really did, because we had to make some adjustments on the sideline, and that's new. We hadn't seen that on film. So I thought they did a good job. I thought offensively that, you know, we just, you know, I think we need to establish the run game. I thought we were slow there, and at the end of the game I got on their butt a little bit about moving the ball, but I think we did what we had to do to win the game, but obviously we need a lot of improvement offensively.
Coach, thank you very much. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, Swanee. Georgia Tech, a winner, a survivor maybe is a better word. 13-7 over Syracuse. That's going to wrap it up from the Kickoff Classic. For Bob Greasy and Lynn Swan, I'm Brad Nessler saying so long from Giant Stadium. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Keyword ABC Sports. 13-7, the Ramblin' Wreck of the Orangemen of Syracuse. As we head to Times Square Stadium in New York, John Saunders and Terry Bowden.